Missed the live show? Don't worry, we recorded it for you. Never miss out on your favourite presenters, guests and makes ever again. Head on over to our YouTube pages to watch back the day's live show and enjoy your favourite demos over and over again. We also have lots of great content exclusive to our YouTube pages, such as product demonstrations, troubleshooting videos, and so much more. Subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you never miss a show or video ever again.
Are you a fan of Sewing Street and Yarn Lane? Why not join our growing Facebook fans pages? Just search Sewing Street Fans and Yarn Lane TV Fans on Facebook and click Join Group. It's that simple. Never miss out on the latest news and updates from our presenters and guest designers, special offers and plenty of chat with your fellow fans. Share photos of your makes, ask for advice, interact with your favourite guests and presenters and be a part of the ever-growing sewing and yarn community. See you there!
If you'd like to get in touch with us during our live show and send in any messages or any questions, then you can do it on studio@sewingstreet.com. Alternatively, you can message us on our official Facebook page.
Keep up to date with what's on Sewing Street and Yarn Lane, as well as all the latest news and special offers by signing up to our email newsletters. For Sewing Street, head on over to www.sewingstreet.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and you're done. It's exactly the same for Yarn Lane. Head on over to www.yarnlane.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and that's it. You are now subscribed to both Sewing Street's and Yarn Lane's email newsletters, so you'll never miss out on the latest news and special offers ever again. We know that shopping online can be a confusing and sometimes daunting task, and sometimes all you want to do is talk to a human being. Well, our family-run customer service team are on call 24/7. They're full of friendly, warm-hearted individuals, all trained to make your shopping experience as easy and as enjoyable as possible. And not only will they take your order, they will also help and guide you on your shopping journey, so you never miss out.
If you're a Sewing Street or Yarn Lane customer, no matter how many times you check out in one day, you will only pay one postage and packaging. So don't wait to add the item you want to your basket and check out. You will only pay one P&P even if you check out multiple times in one day.
Good morning and welcome to Sewing Street on Monday morning. Monday the 7th. Is it the 7th today? It's the 10th. Oh, never know. Never know what the dates are, just the days, except for at Christmas. That's weird, that, isn't it? But Monday the 10th of May, we have got some great things on the show for you today. But more excitingly, or as exciting as everything else, we've got 6 early bird specials for you today. Not just 1, but 6. I love these. These are, well, do you know, it says on it it's a lunchbox, which I guess it is a lunchbox, but to me, that's not why we bought them, and you obviously you can put your lunch in them. I think they're just fantastic sewing boxes. So, they're all made from recyclable materials. This is my favourite one, so I'm showing you this one first. So they've got a rubber band over them, which holds them, and it is really tight. So if you put anything in here, your sewing supplies or whatever, they would not come out. Really simple, you just take the rubber band off. That one's beautifully bright pink. And then open the lid, and look at the size. You can put loads of stuff in there, but it's really nice. It's a really solid material. So if you put anything in here that you didn't want to get squashed, so if you put your sandwiches in, then obviously they won't get squashed. But I'm thinking your sewing kit. It's just a really nice size. You can get a pair of scissors, maybe you were doing like an EPP project or something. You could get your paper pieces or your fabric, your scissors, your needles, everything in them. Anyway, only £4.99. I think that's amazing value for money. Amazing. So we have got some price comparisons for you so you can see what amazing value they are for you. So we found the unicorn one, which I have got as well, from the Long River. It is exactly the same, $8.99, $8.99, and ours are $5.99. So they are your bamboo, well, they are called lunch boxes, but I'm thinking sewing craft kit, beads, all your bits and bobs, maybe put all of your buttons in one. Be a wonderful button box. Loads and loads of different things. So you could have it as your one project box, or you could put lots of little things. So that's one design, the floral one. Unicorn. This is lovely. I like the unicorn one. Isn't that really nice? And this one has got a mauve rubber band. So they're all exactly the same inside, all exactly the same size. Really solid lid. And they do fit really, really snugly as well. Bamboo. So has this, it's a storage box, isn't it? So I'm just going to have a look to see, but does it give you the dimensions on this so you can see how big it is? It's 12.5 centimetres across and 5.5 centimetres that way, and 19, oh, wrong way, 19 that way. 19 by 12 by 5. So there's the floral one. We've got this lovely unicorn one. Elsewhere, $8.99. Wow. So that is a £4 saving, and that's more than your postage, because your postage is $3.95. You've saved that on this already. I like this one. Hello, lovely. Very, very, very popular and in at the moment, pineapples. Isn't that really nice? This is great, isn't it? So this one, they're all bamboo, eco lunchbox. I mean, they're lunchbox. They're storage boxes, really, aren't they? So you've got your bamboo, nice bright pink rubber band. And hello, lovely. And little spots. That's a bit watermelon-y, that one, with the spots. Then we've got the leaf one. Oh, I like this one. Very tropical. You see a lot of patterns and prints, particularly on clothes and things like this. Actually, last week on Yarn Lane, we had some really nice craft bags with these big cheese plants, Monstera, aren't they? With a nice bright pink band. Again, exactly the same size as the others, 19.5 by 12.5. So that's the tropical leaf one. But just think if you had a stack of them, so you could buy one of each and have all the different patterns, or buy all the same, and you could keep loads and loads of all those bits and pieces like ribbons and snap fasteners and eyelets, or the, you know, I have a lot of eyelets and all the tools that go with them, and they just live in a jar, but they'd be perfect to go in here. But I am thinking, you know, you could pop one of these in your bag if you're going on the train or on holiday, and you wanted to keep everything, because the band is so tight, it would keep it all really, really safe. Or brilliant gift for someone. Oh, got another price comparison. Again on the Long River, $9.99. And that's for this exact one here, $9.99, exactly the same. And it's not often that you beat the Long River, is it? And we're $4.99. Brilliant gift for somebody though. If you wanted to buy someone a really, you know, a present, you wanted to buy them some maybe craft materials, put them in here, fill it with sweets. I'm thinking blackjacks and fruit salads. Quarter of the stock of this one is already in baskets. But we've got two more before you make your mind up. This is lovely. I'm going to take the band off this one so you can see it properly. This looks like fabric, doesn't it? So you've got your black and white sort of etched print with hummingbirds that are just very lightly coloured in. When I saw them this morning, first thing, I thought that they were fabric covered, because this one really does look like a lot of the fabrics we've done, where you get the and again, all the way around. You know, when you get the black and white sort of hand etched prints, and hummingbirds as well. We have loads of fabric with hummingbirds on. Quarter of the stock of this one has already gone in baskets. Right, last one before you decide. I'm thinking, you know, I would have 2 or 3 of these, because they do actually go together. Let me take the band off that one. This one is really pretty, isn't it? So you've got like a charcoal grey background on this with very vibrant colours in the flowers and the leaves. Purple, fuchsia, jade, and a really nice citrine green. But that's lovely. I mean, the insides of them are all the same. They're all this nice sort of just pale natural colour. Like the print on that. Those two go together really well, don't they? Because the colours in the hummingbirds are the same as those. But that actually goes very well with the leafy one as well. But this is great for picnics, isn't it? Posh picnic. You could put your knives and forks in one of them so that when you finish the picnic, you could have one for your picnic and your snacks and one for your sewing kit. Here's another price comparison for exactly this one that I was just showing you. Again, $9.99, and it is exactly the same as the one I've got there. So we can give you two for that price point. 50% cheaper. Exactly the same box. Lunch box, sewing box, craft box, storage box. Oh, we've got a message from Jean. Morning, Jean. What do you say? I've had mine for years as a sewing box to take out with me and still brilliant. Yeah, well, Jean, you're in the same mindset as me, Jean. Exactly. But I'm thinking snacks in one, sewing in the other. Biscuits, jammy Dodgers in one. But, you know, if you would crochet, it'd be perfect for that. I mean, you might struggle to get your long knitting needles in, but if you had a circular knitting needle or your crochet, you could just, you know, when you're doing just a small amount, you could get your ball of yarn, your crochet hook, your little project. Or maybe you're doing granny squares. You do one of the granny square cardigans. Watch Yarn Lane on Wednesday, brand new granny square project from the lovely Sam, hooded cardigan. But as you're doing your projects, you could keep all your granny squares in here. But it is perfect. And because... the only thing it does say is don't put it in the microwave, but you can put it in the dishwasher because it's bamboo. I had a bamboo mug and I put it in the microwave. Bad idea. Makes it go very brittle and split. But perfectly dishwasher proof. So shall I show you them all together? I'm going to just take the band, keep the bands off. While you're trying to decide, we've never had 6 early birds. How lucky am I? Right, now you've got to choose. So let's go through them. I've taken the bands off those. They do come with bands just so you can see them better. So we've got the tropical leaf. Oh, we'll take them out one by one so that I don't confuse with you what they're called. So the first one that we started with, Posy. Half the stock of this one is gone. This one comes with the pink band. I've just taken it off so you can see it. That's lovely. Very watercolour print with a really subtle green. You can see there's a little subtle green spot. This one's my favourite. Very impressionist watercolour, I feel. Love that one. That is a brilliant gift though, isn't it? If you gave that to somebody, you don't even need to put much in it either. But if you bought somebody a little present, maybe some soaps or some hand cream, that's a lovely thing to put in it. Or a few sewing supplies, obviously for someone who crafts. Or just keep it yourself. That's that one. Next one, unicorn. So they all come with pink rubber bands, except for the unicorn that has a mauve one. Shall I take that rubber band off? I must remember to put the right one back on. Really nice. Let me turn him around so you can actually see him. Isn't he lovely? He's got mauve wings and lots of stars and rainbows. So ideal for children or anyone who loves a unicorn. But you know, if you're buying one for a child, maybe as a present, you could fill this with colouring pencils. That'd be a brilliant thing to keep in it, wouldn't it? Because you can, if you buy it somewhere else, it's, you know, that's 2 of ours for the price of theirs. But this would be lovely filled with colouring pencils or glitter. Sequins, stickers, jammy Dodgers. Hello Lovely, that's the next one. So that's your pineapple one. These are very on trend, aren't they? I like the fact it does have like the watermelon seed background. Again, pink rubber band on this one. Just Hello Lovely. So this is a good gift. What a lovely thing to open if this was a present for you. Hello Lovely. Just make you smile. Very eco if you're going to use them for lunch boxes. None of that cling film. It's just all put in there. Because the seal is so tight on it once you've got the band on, keep everything in one place. Stop your sandwiches collapsing. Next, the hummingbird. there's less than 20 of the hummingbirds left. Again, you've got the black and white sort of etched print, and then the watercolour, very lightly coloured in hummingbirds. This one is very tasteful. Actually, it's less than 15. They are very tasteful design, I think. Like that one. Then the tropical, what's this one? Is this one called Leaves? I'm going to take its band off because I think you can see it better. This Fauna. This one's Fauna. That's animals. That's Flora. Isn't that lovely? So you've got like the cheese plant leaves and ferns, and the background of this is a very dark bottle green. It's not black or grey, it's a very dark green. Love that. And then finally, we have Tropics. Less than 20 of the Tropics. Again, this has got the charcoal grey background, and then you've got the lovely, it is very similar to the to this one in that it's almost like black and white etched, but very coloured in with the same colours as well. So these two make a beautiful pair if you wanted to buy two, and you can get two for the price of one, really. And you save your postage, £3.95 postage all day, depending on no matter what you buy, one lot of postage, you've saved that already. But it is, if you were looking elsewhere, if you were buying them from other places, it is equivalent of two for the price of one. We're not giving you two for the price of one. You get one for half the price of what you pay for somewhere else. But it is an equivalent thing. So all you've got to do now is choose. That's going to be difficult, isn't it? Remember, they all come with the pink rubber band, except for the unicorn that has the mauve rubber band. How are you going to choose, though? I don't know. I guess it depends who you're buying it for. Or, you know, if you were keeping them for craft storage and you want it all to be beautifully coordinated, you can just buy all the same. Right, I'll put all the rubber bands back on later. While you make your decision, let's see what's coming up today. So at 8 o'clock, that's now, we've got the Dan Morris Effervescence fabric, which is brand new to us today. I'll be going through that soon so you can see the gorgeousness of this fabric. 9 o'clock, we've got Delphine on. She's doing the most beautiful William Morris quilt, which you will see in a moment hanging behind me. It is stunning. It looks absolutely massive behind me, and that is not just because I'm short. It is because it's a very big quilt. It's beautiful, isn't it? You can't go wrong with William Morris fabric, to be fair. Gorgeous. That's a real heirloom piece. Comes in a complete kit as well, in a very nice box, which is always good. Beautifully boxed, complete kit, and Delphine's going to show you how to make it. 10 o'clock, we've got Flower of the Month recap. So I finished off the final Flower of the Month about a month ago, I think, and it's so popular. We had a lot of the panels that sold out, so we've gone back, we've got more panels, we put it all back together again. So if you collected any of the Flower of the Month, if you never saw Flower of the Month and you'd like to see it, we have got all 12 Flower of the Months, and we're going to talk about making the quilt and the special panel that you can buy for the borders of the quilt. So that's at 10 o'clock. 11 o'clock, Delphine's back with us with Hare the Hare cushion. So she has got two designs, Hare the Hare and Fighting Hares, and she's got kits for them and instructions, so you can choose between the two. That one is Fighting Hares, and they are already selling on pre-order. So there's one bundle for Fighting Hares and two different colourways for Hare the Hare, which is the one that's looking, Hare the Hare looking at the moon. Beautiful. So she's going to come on at 11 and show us how to do that. And just confused. And 12 o'clock, it's Yarn Lane. It's my favourite. It's my favourites. I thought, you know, because I choose what can go on these shows, I thought I'm just going to choose all my favourite things. It's already on pre-order. Hannah nearly fainted this morning when I showed her how many products were my favourites. She says, you can't have that many favourites. I said, well, it was really hard. There's so much. There's so many different styles and techniques and everything that we do on Yarn Lane that I had to have a lot of favourites. So that's coming up at 12 o'clock. Hummingbird lunchbox is sold out. Everyone, you're all making your decisions. So the Hummingbird one has sold out. I do like that one. Not many unicorns left. So if you do want one of the lunchbox / craft box / storage box, you need to get it in your basket and check out now. So if you haven't shopped with us before, or if you haven't been on air with us before, then welcome. Welcome to the Sewing Street family. It's lovely to have you today. If you want to shop with us, you need to go on to www.sewingstreet.com. Click on Watch Live and then scroll down. Below Watch Live, you can see all the products. Look at those two, already sold out. Bestseller. So if you scroll down, look, you can see all the different products that we have got on air today. That's the simplest way to shop. It's really easy to see what we're talking about and what I'm showing. Those are all the ones we've shown. And also, when you go below that, because we've already talked about that one, then we go on to the pre-order. So the products that we've got on pre-order. So these are the fabrics now you can see that are coming up today in the next hour that I'm going to go through today. So it's just a really quick way of, while you're watching on air, you can very easily shop for the fabrics. There's all the books. And it also means this is where you can get ahead. So if you want to get ahead and buy the quilt kit before Delphine demonstrates it, so you know it's yours, because obviously we do have limited numbers of everything. There's not loads and loads and loads of everything. Oh, look, there's all the Flower of the Month panels. It means that you can get ahead, buy it now, and then you can sit back and watch the demonstrations and see how everything is made. So everything that we've got on air today, there you go, there's the cushion, there's Hare the Hare in green, Hare the Hare in blue, the fighting hares. We've got when you buy the kit, the instructions come with it, but if you only want the instructions and you want to use your own fabric, then we do the instructions only. Whoa, look at this massive bundle of fabric. That's the mega bundle that I'm going to be talking about in this hour. It's the Effervescence fabric. It's beautiful, isn't it? Now, when you go on the website to see the images, the photographs, unfortunately, at the moment haven't quite loaded properly. So if you are shopping on the website and you look at the pictures, we'll tell you the code as we're going through, because they're I don't know, the resolution, the images haven't loaded properly, so they're a bit fuzzy. So when you see the fabrics that I show you, then we'll show you what each one looks like. We'll tell you the code so that when you go on the website here, you can easily find them. But just remember that I don't know what's happened. Something's got into the system and they haven't loaded properly and they're a little bit fuzzy. But the codes are there, and I will tell you the codes of each one as we go through, so you know, because they are very, very special fabrics. Really beautiful and really multi-purpose. So start off with, we have the mega bundle. So we've had one done. Now, Dan Morris is an American artist. He lives just outside New York, and he creates beautiful pieces of artwork, both in print and in fabric as well. We've had one collection from him before, and we've got a little bit of that left, which I'll be talking to you about later. So out of all of it, it's been so popular. He's a really talented artist with a fantastic eye for colour. But we have got brand new to us today, this mega bundle of all of these beautiful fabrics. And I'm going to show you them one by one in a minute so you can see how stunning they are. But for the whole rainbow of all the 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21 fabrics with special price of £149.80, half a metre of each of these fabrics. So luckily it's available on split pay because it's £149. So split pay is just our way of helping you if you want to buy one of our products that are slightly higher prices than others, then we split it. So if it's £99 or more, you can split the payment over 2 months. If it's £149 or more, you can split it over 3, or £7.99 or more, that's sewing machines really, split it over 5. Now that is applicable to one product. That's not like if you buy £99 worth of all products, it's got to be just split onto one. We don't charge any interest on that at all. We just take the price and we divide it, but we send it to you straight away. So if you buy this today, £149.80, so 3 split payments, £49.93. we take that off you today, and then the next $49.93 the month after, and the next $49.93 the month after that. But we send it to you straight away. You haven't got to wait for the 3 months until you get it. It's just a way of you being able to split the payment over a few months if you want something now, and then you can just split it rather than having to wait and then the product has gone. But we don't charge any interest on that, so it doesn't cost you any more. You don't have to buy it on split pay. That's something people often ask. I want to pay for it up front. That's fine. You just choose that when you go into the checkout. That's easy. But that's up to you. You just choose. So let's have a look at these fabrics. So the code for the mega bundle is QY6648. So if you see it on the website, QY6648. Now we are down to single figures for the mega bundle, but these are all the fabrics you're getting. So ignore the images on the website because they're a bit fuzzy, but I'm going to show you one by one in a minute so you can see how beautiful they are. What I love about these fabrics is that you think of them, because they're just one colour each, you think, oh, well, they're just one colour plain fabrics. But I much prefer to use this sort of fabric than a plain fabric because it's got colours and textures. It makes the fabric jump up a bit. It feels sort of textured and 3D and more alive. And when you're using fabrics like this, even in plain things like borders and sashes and bindings, it just gives a greater depth to your finished project. If you're lining something with one of these fabrics, it gives more interest. If you're doing a plique or patchwork and you team this with a print fabric, it adds other colours to it. But because there's more than one colour in each fabric, well, more than one tone of each colour, it gives you a lot more options because then you can match that up with other fabrics. So if we go through them one by one, I'm going to start on the left. So there are only 4 left of the mega bundle of 21 fabrics. Wow. So should we go through them one by one? Right, so this one is SJUQ82. Half a metre of this Dan Morris design, and look at that. This one is sage. It is half a metre, and this is normal quilting weight fabric, 112 centimetres, 44 inches wide. So that's the size. That's what your half metre piece looks like. Now we're selling this by the half metre, so it means if you want more than a half metre, you can, and it will be sent to you as a whole piece. So for example, if you think, oh, well, I want to make a little dress with this, I need 2.5 metres, put 5 units in your basket and you will be sent it as a whole piece. All of our fabric is cut to order. So in the warehouse over the road, they take your order, they look how many units and they cut it as one piece. You won't be sent 5 half metres, you will be sent a 2.5 metre piece, which is really important if you're making a dress or a big quilt. But let me just show you, look at this in detail. It's beautiful. What I love about it is that you can use this fabric really in any direction. So say you were doing FPP with it, where it's really hard to sort out all the directions, or if you were doing borders and sashing and some are vertical and some are horizontal, or very small pieces of patchwork where you're cutting maybe half square triangles, so you're cutting it on an angle. Because there's so many swirls and curves, and even the background of it is swirled. So it's a very multi-layered fabric. You've got the plainer background that's multicoloured green that's swirled, and laid on top of that almost sort of cut out images of other swirls and curves. So you've got like big swirly curves here, there. You've got this sort of, and then you've got the leaf prints here. But do you see what I mean? That if you cut that out, it doesn't really matter. So you will get this sense of texture and colour, but it won't matter which way you cut it. And this is beautiful shades of sort of emerald and jade. But this one's called Sage. SJUQ82. So that's Sage. And remember, the photos on the website are a bit out of focus, so just look at these instead. We're working on that. This one is KXUQ30. Again, half metre piece, but I'm just going to show you it folded up so you can see it. Beautiful. I was going to say this is called Midnight. This is a beautiful midnight blue. It really is those sort of colours of. So the fabrics that Delphine is using for her 2 Hare designs are using these fabrics. So if you do want to buy more fabric, if you want to make other things or matching things, this is the fabric you need to use. Look, there's the Hare. That must be, is that using Midnight? I think it is. Or it might be the other blue one. Beautiful, isn't it? But it does look, it looks like the sky, and look how well it works when you start embroidering it and applique on top of it. Again, exactly the same pattern, but it's shades of very, very deep midnight blue, moving up to sort of paler, slight hues of royal blue as well. I love that. I'd love this for the borders, the sashing of a quilt. KXU Q30, and that's midnight. Right, the next one is a lovely shade of mauve, YHUQ20. And this one is called, one moment caller, purple. This is lovely. I would say this is more lilac, isn't it? It's deep shade. Well, you've the darker is a very deep imperial purple, but it moves up to lilac shades as well. It's funny how on some of the fabrics, different patterns show up more than others. There's a lot of this one that is sold on pre-order, but this is stunning, isn't it? I do like the mix between the imperial purple and the lilac shades. If you look at it really closely, it's just lovely, isn't it? Very talented. Can you imagine how tricky it is to do this? Because there are so many different layers. You can see how it's been worked out. And in order to make it so that it's so random that it doesn't matter which bit you cut out. But it's quite nice that if you were using it for small pieces of patchwork, you could concentrate on certain areas. So you could cut out the areas that are darker and the areas that are lighter. So in one piece of fabric, you've got lots of different shades that you can use. Love the purple. Right, now we're moving on to this is the own, the code for this one is YHUQ20 purple. Now this is the only dark one. This is more, what is this one called? SLUQ76. This one's called brown. Actually, I'm going to open up the whole thing because on this half, it's very dark. But if I go on to this, the other half, it becomes lighter. So let me open up the whole thing so you can see how they sort of change shade. So it's almost like a border from selvage to selvage. So if you buy a ½ metre, you get all of these colours. You start on one side where it's a lighter shade, and then it moves over to the darker shades on the other side. Can we get a picture of the whole thing? Could we zoom out, please, Elliot? Zoom in. You zoom in. Ah, that's better. So now you can see on this side that you've got the paler colours, and then you move all the way across here to the deeper shades, which means that if you cut strips of fabric from this side, they will be a different shade to the strips on this side, which gives you loads and loads of different options. Or if you're thinking, you know, maybe you want to cut it into strips across the selvage and use it like as 2.5-inch strips like you would with the design roll, it starts changing. So if you wanted to bind a quilt with it, it'd be beautiful. You'd get a really multi-tonal effect. So this is really plain chocolate, I'd say. Moving into the milk chocolate. I know they've called it brown, but it is really very sort of deep, dark, 80% cocoa plain chocolate on that side. ZG, oh no, this one is SLUQ76. Yeah, the one that I had there was charcoal. We haven't got that one. Oh, that must be that one. Right, so which is the code for the chocolate one? This one is SLUQ76 is charcoal. The one that looks like chocolate is actually called charcoal. It's not charcoal, it's chocolate. Right, which one is brown then, I wonder? Ah, this one is brown. So the one that they said was brown and I said was chocolate is actually called charcoal. But to be honest, it isn't. It's more like very 80% chocolate. This one is brown. ZQ ZG-UQ76. This one is brown. See, look, there's the darker side, and I'll flip it over so you can see the lighter side. This is a very yellowy brown. This is more like, I'm thinking, tree. If you wanted a fabric that had a bit of a wood effect to it, it looks like kind of wood grain. Although it's got all the swirls, but it's a yellowy brown, so it is more of a wood grain effect. It'd be really nice if you wanted to create something, maybe like you doing one of those bookcase quilts where you want the wood effect. That's beautiful for that. But it would also team really well. So maybe if you were making a quilt using pink fabrics or pale pinks, this would look beautiful with it. I think the temptation often is to put, you know, just standard colours. But when you use something a bit softer, rather than using a black or a white, you use a cream or a charcoal or this brown. It's a really lovely colour. And remember, you get the two shades in it as well, the dark and the light. But it has the effect with all the circles of a bit of tree rings as well. So that one is brown. ZG-UQ76. So right, this one is XSUQ17. Oh, this is pretty. What's this one called? Plum. Yes, so look, there's the dark side. And there's the light side. Now, this is the background fabric that's used on the Fighting Hare's cushion. Just so you can see them in context, so you have an idea. These, for the kits, they're pre-cut. So this fabric is the one that's used in the sky sort of outer section of the Fighting Hares. But it's nice to see what it looks like once it's all been cut up. And if you're buying the instructions for Delphine's hares and you want to make more than one, then you can buy the extra fabric here. So this is called Plum, but it is stunning, isn't it? But it does range from very like deep Victoria plum in this section, all the way through to much paler tones here, but all that plummy shade. Beautiful, like that one. XSUQ17 Plum. And then this one is VJUQ65. Oh, I like this. Is a very, light blue. This is beautiful. So that's the light side. Oh no, that's the dark side, and this is the light side. This is very, I'm thinking, you know, when you like hydrangea, where you get the blue hydrangeas, if you're lucky enough to live somewhere where you can have blue hydrangeas, it's got the blues and the purples of a hydrangea in it, but it's a very clear colour. It makes me think of the, not that you see the purples in the sea, but it's very watery. It has that clear feel to it. That's so pretty, isn't it? But obviously, you know, you can, this is quilt weight fabric, this is quilt and the width of quilts. Perfect for dressmaking though. Because it's a nice tonal pattern that's all over, you can use it for lots of ways. So maybe you're making a dress where you've got the bodice that's made, you know, when you get the princess bodice and it's made of 7 different pieces, almost impossible to pattern match. This would be ideal because you wouldn't need any pattern matching because the pattern is all over. It'd be beautiful for that. There's only 5 meters left of this one, but make a lovely pretty summer blouse or a little girl's dress or even a shirt, to be honest. Some of these colours, particularly the darker ones, would look beautiful as a man's shirt. Maybe that charcoal one that we have that looks like chocolate would be good. Or the blue one, the second one that we showed, they'd be beautiful for a man's shirt. I bet John Scott would like one of these. He'd look nice in that colour. VJ UQ65. We'll have to make him one. Well, no, I think he can make himself one. He can make clothes. We'll give him a bit of the fabric, see if he can get him to make a shirt out of this. He'd look lovely. This one, sorry, the code is AQUQ91, and that is the light side. Seafoam, this one's called, and that's the dark side. But this is very seafoam. It is that beautiful sort of green sea colour. It's lovely, isn't it? It just depends on what this. The problem is there's too many colours to choose from. You can have all, well, if you've got the mega bundle, you can have all of them. But it's lovely that you've got all these different shades. So in each fabric, you've got lots of different tones. So if you've only just switched on and you're having a look at the website and you want to buy some of these, There's something gone wrong with the images on the website and they're a little bit fuzzy. Only for the, I don't know, everything else has been all right. I don't know what's gone wrong with these, but they're all a bit fuzzy. So you need to, what we're showing you is actually what it looks like. If you look at the code on the top left-hand side of your screen, AQUQ91, and then when you go onto the website, use that code. Don't look at the image because it is a bit fuzzy. This is actually what it looks like. They're the right colours, they're just, I don't know what's gone on, but you can see the clarity of the images here. You can see the swirls and the leaf shapes and the little spots. But if you're confused at all, phone the customer service team and they will be able to help you. So AQUQ91 Seafoam. There's less than 10 metres of the seafoam left, which I'm surprised by because it's very nice. This one, another green, ORUQ54, but much more leafy or appley. What's this one called? Oh, Celadon. Celadon is a jewel, well, a stone. It's a stone. It is Celadon colour, but it is also, I'd go apple green. There's the light side, there's the dark side. I guess it's got a little bit of brown in it, but it is very sort of Granny Smith apple green, but with the browner shades in it. So perfect if you're doing a plique or quilting, where if you're doing pictorial and you want something that's like landscapey, like hills or grass, this is ideal for it. But green is such a lovely colour. I think a lot of people suit green as well. It goes with, you know, people with dark hair and light hair. I love green, love wearing green, but it's a really nice, it's a good colour for dressmaking. And quite often you don't see that many, when you're buying clothes, you don't see many things in green, which I'm always surprised about. But that's beautiful, isn't it? I like the fact it's got these shades of like ochre in it, sort of deep olivey greens. But that one is Celadon. And the code is ORUQ54. Right, the next one. Oh, I wonder what they've called this one. This is a yellowy green colour. This is IPUQ71. This one's called Moss. Yeah, I'm going with that. Yeah, very well. It's a greeny yellow colour with shades of brown. So that's the dark side half of it, and that's the light half. If you've only just tuned in, you think she's shown it in halves. It is a whole half metre. It's just that in order to be able to show you, it graduates in tone from light all the way across here to the dark, but it's easier to show you if I just fold it in half. Now we're selling it by the half metre. If you want more than half a metre, put that number of units you want in your baskets. If you want 1.5 metres, put 3. You will be sent it as a whole cut piece. You won't be sent it in half metres. So this is Moss, but it's a very yellowy green with darker shades of yellow green. It looks a bit brown here, but it isn't. It's just deep. It's all one colour, but just different shades of that one colour. So that one is IPUQ71 Moss. I don't know how you're going to choose. Ooh, this is pretty. This one. I wonder if they should have called this one silver. VFUQ82. What's this one called, Hannah? Grey. Well, grey. It's silver. Because it's different tones of. You've got the really dark, deep silvery tones here going right up to the light. I mean, it almost looks, when I saw it, I thought, oh, this one's got metallic in it. It hasn't, but it looks like that. So that's the dark side. And then if I show you the light side, look at how lovely that is. Well, isn't that great? Because if you've got lots of different colours in here, but it would look fantastic as a skirt of a dress because it graduates in tones. It would give you a really unusual effect. Particularly if you'd have to wear it the other way round. If you had it that way round, then you would have, like, you could have dark at the bottom of the hem, and then you could have the lighter coming up to the top of the skirt. Or if you made a blouse from it, you know, you could have it a bit like that dip dye ombre effect, which would be quite nice, wouldn't it? That's beautiful. Like that one. So that one is grey, even though they should have called it silver, really, because it would have been better. That one is VFUQ82. This is a really vivid green. This one is very springy leaf. This is OJUQ75. Whoa, look at that, how vibrant that is. You know when well, it's actually now at the moment, I've noticed as because I walk through the woods every day walking the dog, and so you see the changes. Is this just called green? Should be more than that. But you know when you see the changes very gradually, and the leaves on the trees start about a couple of weeks ago look like they've just been coloured in lightly with a coloured pencil, and now since we've had that rain they've become really glossy, that really vibrant green where it looks like the whole world has been coloured in, and the trees are sort of dripping with these glossy leaves, and that is the colour of this. They're brand new leaves. They haven't got jaded and old and wrinkly at the edges. They're all glossy and lovely. Let me turn over to the other side. That's beautiful, isn't it? So if you want something that's a really vivid shade of green, and the lighter colours in the background are more of a sort of a yellowy colour. Let me give you the ombre effect. But I don't know whether you see it better if I do it that way. So there's the light end there, and I'm going to move it forward to, there we go. So there's the light end. Oh, hang on, let me unfold it. There we go. It is a bit rainforest. So there's the light end, and then we move all the way through to the dark end. Over to the dark side, and moving forward to the light side. There we go. Stunning. But that really is, I don't know how well it shows up on your screen, but that really is. If you think of particularly beech trees, I've got loads of those near me, beech trees, fresh green leaves of a beech tree is what colour that is. OJ-UQ75. No, those are silver birches, Hannah. Beech trees are those, Hannah says, are beech trees those ones where the bark falls off? No. That was OJ-UQ75. Right, another blue one. This is a beautiful blue. This is really, what's this one called? ZI-UQ27. This is just called blue. It has got shade. There's the darker side to it where you can just see shades of purple in it. But if I turn it over to the lighter side, you can see now more. It's more turquoisey and lilac purple over on this side. So you've got shades of royal blue, turquoise, over here where you've got so you've got like two shades here. You've got the darker shade of jade, turquoise, royal blue, and pale blue. Yes, it's funny actually, as you see each one, you can see how they go together. I mean, that one goes really well with that one, doesn't it? I like that one. But these are the two that are combined in the hares. I was going to say that's good, isn't it? Because they do go really well together. Yes, you look on the hair design. Those are the two colours combined, but they look really nice. Actually, you could spend ages doing this because that one goes really well together as well, doesn't it? And then I quite like if you put that one. If you wanted to make a blue quilt, look at those. Ooh. Very nice. Anyway, if you go onto the website, you can see all the different ones if you want to start choosing how they mix and match together. But those look stunning. You know, all you'd need is a very simple, even if you were doing something like a log cabin design, if you chose one of the lighter ones like this one and one of the darker ones like that one, look how amazing that they would look together. Ooh. Right, now I'm confusing things. So the one I've got on the table, blue, ZI-UQ27. That's your sort of bluey, purpley, turquoise. There are only 2 mega bundles remaining. So if you want one, you need to put it in your basket and you need to check out. Now, we haven't had any red yet, but we have now. Oh, my piles are mixing. My piles are mixing. Oh, that's not a good thing, is it? WSUQ26, never get your piles mixing. This one is called Garnet. That's actually quite good. I would have said ruby maybe. So you've got deep dark reds here. That's the dark side. And if we move over to the lighter side. Yeah, I would say yes. So the colour change on this one is, they're not all as dramatic as others. So that's, let's start off on there. There's the light end. And then if we move to the dark end. Actually, it's easy if you do it like this. So right, there we go. We'll do it like that. There's the dark. And then it moves through to the light. So that one is garnet, very ruby colour. That's beautiful. I think that's the only red we've had so far. So the code for that one is WSUQ26. Next we have very, very neutral shade. So this one is called ATUQ49. So if you want a neutral, rather than using a cream or an ivory or a beige, putty this one is called. But it is a very neutral shade of beige cream. No, a brownie coloured cream it would be. So let me show you how the dark and the light go together on this one, just so you can see, because what's quite nice about this, you know, I know lots of you do, I certainly do, have lots of different coloured shades, neutral shades in my stash. You've got the darker end here, and then if we move through to the lighter end, you've got then lots of different neutral shades right through to the lighter part here. So if I put them like this, you can see the difference. That's the dark and that's the light. Look at these. But that's really useful, just half a metre of this. If you want neutral shades, and you know, sometimes you can't get exactly the one, you could cut a strip from the place on here that you want. So you would get a lot of neutral bits if you really wanted to match something up. If you were doing some embroidery, rather than doing it on a calico or a plain neutral, really vibrant embroidery would look fantastic on this, because the background gives extra sort of dimension and texture to your work. Right, the mega bundle has now sold out. There are lots of lines that we have got very limited stock on, so I'm not sure we will be able to make the mega bundle again, because obviously we need all of the fabrics to be able to do that. But I'm thinking embroidery for that one. That would be lovely. Right, we've got another neutral shade. Oh, and that one was ATUQ49. This is another neutral shade, but creamier. VLUQ03, and this one is called Straw. It's rich vanilla ice cream with butterscotch sauce. Or yes, or it is that, you know, when you get those what are they called, where you burn the meringue on the top of a pavlova? Blowtorch. I think they should get me and you, Hannah, in this. This could be called blowtorch meringue, which is so much better than, what have they called it? Straw. Blowtorch meringue. That's what it is. Because there's your bit that hasn't got quite the blowtorched on it. And then if we move it over there, or even toasted marshmallow. Or Angela's downstairs. Who's Angela? Angela's downstairs bathroom. No. I'm thinking toasted marshmallow or blowtorch meringue. Even lemon meringue pie would have been better. But those are the colours. Anyway, I'm sure you're thinking of that lemon meringue pie. That is the colour of this fabric. I think we should just think of more original names for them. So that one was VLUQ03. This one is Mediterranean Sunshine. NZUQ68. But the or yellow. But look, it's got shades of yellow and orange. It is actually it's sunrise, isn't it? Sunset is much bluer. This is sunrise. You know when you get up really early and you go and sit on top of a hill to watch the sunrise, which I do all the time, obviously, regularly. I'm really annoyed that June the 21st this year is a Monday. I like getting up to watch the solstice, and I'm on air on the Monday. And it'll have risen before we come on air, so I'll have missed it. So this is very, you know, that beautiful orangey red colours of a sunrise that you've got on this end, and then on the lighter one, this is when it's risen, and it's a really lovely bright yellow. So this is sunrise that I've named NZUQ68. I just think it helps, you know, when you're choosing fabric and you're looking on a website, you think, oh, I don't know, and then they call something sea green rather than green, you know exactly what they're talking about. Right, the next one. Ooh. This looks sort of, I don't know what colour this is. It's honeysuckle flowers, those orange ones. TQUQ04. Bet they've called it orange. I knew they'd have called it orange. But this makes me think of sweets because it's shades of pink, orange and yellow all together. Like fruit salads. That's what they should call it, fruit salad. So that's the darker end of it, and then that's the lighter end of it. So, and you get all of that in one, but just so you can see, that's the darker and that's the lighter. That's how they look together. But it is the colour of fruit salads. Fruit salad sweets, not a fruit salad. Oranges and pinks and yellows. TGUQ04. Another neutral shade now. This one is IAUQ34. I don't know what this one is. What? Tan. So this is shades of brown and pinky shades. It's like taupe. But that's a lovely one, isn't it? I like the way that actually the swirls show up really, really well on this one because they're very dark. See, on some of the prints, like the swirls here, you can really see them. I think on the browner ones, because I said that the other brown one looked very good for wood grain, so does this one, because the swirls really show up on some of the fabrics, other parts of them. So on the bluer fabrics, the little leafy shape showed up more. So it just depends on how much print has been put into one area or another. But again, really nice neutral fabric, perfect for your stash because it will go with lots of other colours. Because it's neutral, it will make other colours, particularly brighter ones, really show up. But I like that one, IAUQ34 Tan. But when you're choosing later, just have a look at the ones that I've shown you here because you can see them a lot better on screen. IAUQ34 was the last one and that was Tan. This one is FKUQ06 and this one is called Burnt Orange. I like this one. I would say it was more of a burnt peach. It is sort of, it's the pink side of orange, this one. There's a lot of peachy tones in it, but really, a really very dark, overripe peach though, not a light peach. Very warm, be lovely to wear something this on a summer holiday. Like if you made a quick sarong or a wrap or a maxi dress or a long skirt. It's got those shades of sort of warm summer evenings. Actually, it'd be quite nice. You could wear it on a cold day. It might make you feel a bit warmer, but I'm thinking maxi dress with this one. Yes, it was just drifting along the streets of Italy in your peachy maxi dress. But it's lovely, isn't it? I love the different shades in it. You know, if you were piecing different parts together for part of a dress, you could cut them from the different areas and the shades would flow through it. But remember, if you want more than a ½ metre because you are making, a bigger quilt or dressmaking, or you're making lots of bags, if you want more than one unit, it will be sent to you as a whole cut piece. Right, and then we've only got one left. This is number 21 of 21 fabrics. And the mega bundle is now sold out, so you have to buy them by the ½ metre. CWUQ89. And this is called Rose. Now, I'll go with them on that. This is a beautiful, you can almost smell this one. This is a beautiful deep rose pink because some parts of the rose, like the very, very inner petals, have got this very deep cut shade. And then the petals of the rose go out and out and out to the really pale ones. So this would be ideal if you were doing pictorial quilting or applique and you wanted to do flowers. This is perfect for it. If you cut out a flower shape, you'd give you such texture. That's the light side, and then, sorry, that's the dark side, and that's the light side. So pretty. I'll put the two together. So that there's the two ends of it, the light side and the darker side. But it is very vintage rose. your real traditional English garden, cottage garden rose. So that's the final one of all of them. All you've got to do now is choose. That one was CWUQ89 Rose. No mega bundle remaining, so we won't be able to make it again because a lot of them are starting to sell out, and I'm sure they will have stopped selling out. So they will, a lot of them, because there's quite a lot, they've only got a few units left, so they will have shown. Now, I said to you at the beginning that we've only had one Dan Morris collection before, really popular. We've only got 6 of the fabrics from it remaining. So I'm going to show you these now, because these are the only, gosh, oh, I like these. Ooh, so this is, it's the same theory, I guess, because it's the same designer. It's multicoloured, it's layer upon layer upon layer. So in the background, you've got lots of different shades, and then you've got this beautiful swirly effect. This is called Red Geo. So that's it. Let me show you that's what it looks like. Now, it doesn't change colour, not like the other one. It doesn't change colour from dark across to the other side. But the whole of the fabric is very multicoloured. So you've got shades of pink, red, yellow, and very, very pale pink all the way across. So if we're getting really close, you can see it is a horizontal pattern that runs from selvage to selvage. But if you cut it and use it in different directions, it's fantastic because it has a lot of movement in it. So that's the Red Geo. But this is all we've got left of this particular collection. The next one is Blue Geo Waves. I'm going to show you it that way so you can see it running horizontally. Less than 10 metres of this one. Again, this has got shades of blue, deep purple and a yellow in it. Very sea, that's very sea. Deep Mediterranean Sea, though, not English North Sea. We've only ever had this on air once before when we launched it, and we've already got only got 10 metres left and 10 metres left of that blue one. The next one, Orange Geo Waves, that's lovely. That really goes with the one that we said looked like sunrise. That's lovely, but look at that with this one. How nice are they together? That's the sunrise one. But you know, they've got the similar feel to the batik if you like that multicoloured effect, but they're not batiks if you don't want to wear this. Has that effect to them. Right, next is, so these next ones are a different pattern. This pattern is called Pinwheel. This looks very batik, actually. It's not. I think he is very inspired batiks, but it's digital printed, so it's not the batik, it's not real, the batik effect, but it has that. It looks like kaleidoscope, doesn't it? I tell you what it looks like, those sand dollars. So you've got a turquoise yellow and then the orange, deep orangey russet colours. Beautiful. Right, that's that one. Oh, because I'm just about running out of time. I've got 2 more to show you and then I've run out of time. This one. Blue. Blue. It's got shades of royal blue, bright blue, purple and an orangey yellow in it. That's really lovely, isn't it? But you see, the 2 fabrics actually go really well together, because they've got the same shades of the orangey yellows and the same shades of the turquoises. So if you wanted to marry 2 together, they go really well. And then finally, let me just fold that one up before we go to the break, and the William Morris quilt that's hanging behind me, we have got this beautiful one. Red. That's lovely. That's got shades of reds, raspberries, pinks and very pale yellows, but it's like a real, it looks like a pomegranate cut in half. That's a lovely one. So all you've got to do now is choose. I know, which is not easy, I know, because they are beautiful, But we have now got to go for a break, and in a couple of minutes I'm going to be back with Delphine, who's going to show us how to make this stunning, beautiful William Morris quilt, which is already going on pre-order. Complete quilt in a box, and Delphine's going to show you how to do it. First time that we've had it on air on Sewing Street, and it's William Morris. What's not to love? I'll see you back here in just a couple of minutes' time.
Missed the live show? Don't worry, we recorded it for you. Never miss out on your favourite presenters, guests and makes ever again. Head on over to our YouTube pages to watch back the day's live show and enjoy your favourite demos over and over again. We also have lots of great content exclusive to our YouTube pages, such as product demonstrations, troubleshooting videos, and so much more. Subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you never miss a show or video ever again.
Hello everyone, I'm Delphine Brooks. It's so great to be here and part of the Sewing Street family. I'm local, I'm only down the road in Warwickshire. I started sewing many years ago when I was very young, doing lots of art and painting, and eventually I went into textiles, and I really enjoyed doing the two together. I then had a bit of a break. Something you don't know about me maybe is that I spent many years in the Royal Air Force and eventually in the police as well. And then I went full circle and I've come back to my happy place of sewing, and which I really enjoy. My best sewing tip is measure twice and cut once. I have chipped up a couple of times by not measuring properly, and I do always regret it. So now I always measure twice, cut once. Anyway, I really hope to be with you again soon, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.
We know that shopping online can be a confusing and sometimes daunting task, and sometimes all you want to do is talk to a human being. Well, our family-run customer service team are on call 24/7. They're full of friendly, warm-hearted individuals, all trained to make your shopping experience as easy and as enjoyable as possible. And not only will they take your order, they will also help and guide you on your shopping journey, so you never miss out. Keep up to date with what's on Sewing Street and Yarn Lane, as well as all the latest news and special offers by signing up to our email newsletters. For Sewing Street, head on over to www.sewingstreet.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and you're done. It's exactly the same for Yarn Lane. Head on over to www.yarnlane.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and that's it. You are now subscribed to both Sewing Street's and Yarn Lane's email newsletters, so you'll never miss out on the latest news and special offers ever again.
If you're a Sewing Street or Yarn Lane customer, no matter how many times you check out in one day, you will only pay one postage and packaging. So don't wait to add the item you want to your basket and check out. You will only pay one P&P even if you check out multiple times in one day.
Hello and welcome back to Sewing Street. So we have got the most beautiful, if you've been watching already and you've seen it behind me before, William Morris quilt. This is brand new to Sewing Street today, and we have got the wonderful Delphine on air to show us how to make it. It is gorgeous. Now what I love about this, not only the fact it's a William Morris quilt and it's beautiful, is everything you need in a box, and it's beautifully boxed. So it's a beautiful present to yourself or someone else if you want to give them a beautiful present of a quilt. It's lovely when you get everything together though, and it's all nicely in a box. There's something very special about it. And if you're not going to start it right away, it can just be kept really nicely. Now, look, I've started opening my box. Your box will be all nice and neat and folded. It's only because I've opened mine already. So this is the box. You get this, the label around the edge that shows you the picture of the finished quilt and what it contains. So The finished quilt size, which is important, is 178 by 213 centimetres, just in case you want to know how big it is. So it's a really substantial size. Hannah, what is that in inches? She can let us know. Now, we had this on pre-order at 8 o'clock and a quarter of the stock has already gone. So if you want this quilt, you need to put it in your basket and you do need to check out. It is gorgeous. It's 70 by 83. So it is a good double bed size. Well, you can see it anyway. You'll see it again behind Delphine. It's a really good double bed size. So luckily, because this is £149.99, this is available on split pay. So you will be, if you want, you don't have to do a split pay, but if you do want to, it is split over 3 equal payments of £49.99. Now, they will be taken out of your account now in another month and another month. There is no interest charged on that. We don't charge you any extra for choosing to do split pay. It's just an easier way for you to pay over 3 months. But you will be sent the kit straight away. You haven't got to wait. It will be sent to you as soon as you've paid the first payment. But it's just an easier way of spreading the payments. And it is a stunning quilt. In the kit, you get 7 different fabrics, but in total, there are 8 metres, over 8 metres of fabric. It's all Free Spirit William Morris fabric. In here as well are complete instructions for making the quilt. So should we have a look inside? So it all comes wrapped up. We'll take the label off first. In a nice box. So in here you get the instructions. Now, the quilt features fabrics from Morris & Company, Orkney and Mineral ranges. So it's 2 different ranges of fabric put together to make this Scottish cross quilt, which is obviously a quilt block. It does actually look like a Scottish cross. It makes you think of that. The colours in it are fantastic. Really sort of tealy, bluey greens with the real William Morris that I'm just looking at over there. Real sort of orangey, peachy shades. It's stunning, isn't it? Then, so anyway, in the instructions, you've got pictures of all the fabrics and then really nice clear instructions of how to make it, how to make the cross, how you cut out each fabric, and it's got a nice picture of the quilt layout, which is really important, isn't it? Because when you're making the quilt, having that visual representation of what it looks like with all the different parts, there's enough fabric in it you can make the all the borders and binders. So the only thing that you don't have is the backing fabric, and you need 5 metres of that. If you're buying normal backing fabric, so normal quilt width of 44 inches, you will need 5 metres for the backing, and you will need wadding. So inside, it's all wrapped in tissue paper. Trying to get it out without. So when we've just had a look at what's in people's baskets, and once you've all checked out the baskets, there will only be 5 left. So let me take out the whole bundle. It's all wrapped in tissue paper. There we go. Oh, whoa, look at those. And a ribbon. It's like a present. It's almost like you'd get this and you think, I don't want to cut it up. I don't want to cut it up. So undo the ribbon. So you've got this beautiful lemon print fabric with lemon prints on. Now in the centre of the quilt there are 2 squares that feature this beautiful lemon print. But if you don't want to put those 2 squares in there, there is enough of the rest of the fabric if you want to use the others for the other squares if you don't want the lemon print. But I love that. So you've got the lemon print. This is very William Morris, isn't it? It looks like William Morris furnishings. Beautiful. That one is used for the big squares. I mean, I think £149.99 for a William Morris quilt is amazing value for money. And this is, it's not just the quality of the design, the William Morris design, it's the quality of the fabric as well. It's quilting weight cotton, but it's beautifully smooth and lovely. You've got a lovely fern design with acorns. Again, very William Morris. I mean, that's beautiful. It looks very much like the woodblock prints. Look, it's got little acorns here and there, and so this must be oak leaves. So this one is from the Orkney collection. That's got a beautiful, so deep tealy green background. This one is used in, oh, the border. Is it just the outer border? That's lovely, isn't it? Because it's quite a big print. So it's really nice to see that it's used as quite a wide outer border, so you really see this one. Isn't that lovely? Beautiful colours. So over half of the stock of this quilt kit has now checked out. I mean, but remember, you know, you don't have to do split pay. If you want to pay for it all in one go, that's entirely up to you. You do have the choice. Then you have this lovely taupe coloured one. And that's really nice. It's from the Mineral collection. And that's used sort of behind the squares because it makes those big square blocks stand out. It's your sort of your low volume, lighter print that when you pair it with the bolder prints, it makes them stand out. But what's lovely is they haven't just used a plain fabric. They've used a there's no plain fabrics in this kit. It's all William Morris prints. But the different tonal levels of the colours and the print make the different fabrics stand out. I mean, it's beautifully designed. Then we've got this gorgeous print, which is used, where's that? Oh, that's used in this, oh, in the squares, in the corner sort of triangle squares. And it's nice that they've used these as sort of made use of them rather than cutting them all up into little pieces. These are shown, you know, really featured as the big squares in the quilt. And then finally, ooh, look at this one. This has got the very quintessential Morris birds on it. Let me really open that one up so you can see. And that's used in parts of the Scottish cross. And what I like is when you look at the Scottish cross is that here and there you can see little parts of the birds' heads that have come into it. So you've got this beautiful tree design. When you look at it as a whole print, it's gorgeous with all the birds in amongst the trees. But when it's cut up to use in the quilt itself, some little bits of the birds, you can see little faces coming through. So that's all the fabric. There's over 8 meters of fabric in this kit. And it's all free spirit, beautiful quality, William Morris designs, no plain fabrics, just different tonal ranges and colours. There are less than 20 of these kits left now. So we do have some of the Orkney collection available by the half metre. If you, looking at the fabrics, if you really like them, if you have a look on the pre-order on the website, if you want to buy them as single pieces, obviously it's not making the kit because, you know, we've got the instructions are in the kit. But if you love the fabrics, we do have some of them available as on the half metre. So that's the full kit. Now, if you want backing fabric, I told you need 6.5 metre bundles. But these are available, you'll see them on the website. So if you've got your kit and you want to put your backing fabric on, then you can get that if you go onto the website. Now, there are 10 left of the quilt kit. So if you want it, you need to put it in your basket and you do need to check out. Anyway, let's get on with making the quilt. Good morning, Delphine.
Good morning, lovely.
How nice was it to get this box?
Oh, it was. I got it on when it was really warm a couple of weeks ago, and I took my time. I sat down in the garden. I opened it up.
Did you do the whole?
I was going,
tissue?
oh. Yeah, so I'm very, very lucky. I was chuffed to bits to get this.
It's beautiful, isn't it? I bet you didn't want to cut into it.
No. Well, you never do you? Really?
I know.
But once you get going, you get over it.
Make that,
Yeah,
but there's just something so lovely.
It is beautiful. Every single fabric is stunning. So yeah, I'm really lucky.
So how are the instructions?
The instructions, they're really good, nice and simple and clear. I don't like too much waffle.
So it's not a difficult quilt then?
It's not a difficult quilt, no. As we go through the stages of how to actually put the block together, it's more about the directions of your seams, etc. But I think it's aimed at a confident beginner. So there's a little bit cut on the bias, but with the triangles.
But it's big blocks, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's manageable. But then there's a few little tricks that I can give you along the way. Just hopefully will help.
So I presume you cut everything out.
Yeah. So I did it, the instructions themselves, so they're very, very simple to go through. Each one's labelled with the fabrics. So, for example, it tells you exactly what fabric A is, what B is,
that's useful.
etc. And just give it a little name on the side there. And then the actual cutting is on this left side here. Let me just move that across. So it tells you exactly what you need. So what I did is, at first, my first one I actually just did enough to make the one block, just so I could get my head around it all.
Yeah.
And then that's when I was like, okay, I'm happy with that. So I was happy, quite keen to go in and cut all the rest of the fabric out. So whenever you get a quilt kit like this, I do recommend just cut enough just to do the one block first, just to get your confidence, I think, because it is some beautiful fabric that you're cutting into, and you just want to make sure you get it right. So all of the fabric is classed as non-directional, even though the dark fabric that you just showed, the one with all the birds on, that
the
is,
bird
I suppose,
fabric,
directional. Yeah. But I suppose they've done it that way, so you don't have to think too much about it.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, it's just see the fabric as a non-directional fabric, and then that way you're not going to worry about cutting off a bird's head or something.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it will all come through in the fabrics. Okay, so, and it also got the placement diagram as well, which is really, really helpful to have at the back as well. But I just looked at the picture on the front, the cover. I just had that by me on my cutting mat the whole time. So, okay, right. So to start with, we need to make the cross. So I've already cut these out. So these are the two. Everything's cut on the width of the fabric. So I've cut the two strips as instructed in the booklet. So all I'm going to do is sew these together. Now, when you are doing a quilt like this, make sure that your machine is fully set up, your bobbin's ready to go. Use the same thread throughout. Try not to, because you want to keep it consistent.
Okay.
So
what sort of coloured thread would you use for this?
In my machine, I had cream.
Okay.
In my machine, but I don't think it matters. I have got a really nice green that matches, but I think I'd probably save that for the quilting.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. So just a cream is fine.
Just a cream is fine. In today's, I've got a bit of silver.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's just difficult, isn't it, when you've got dark fabrics and light fabrics, trying to decide
which one.
But I suppose anything neutral would be fine.
So you're going to sew these right sides together. So be quite accurate with your cutting, because obviously it does make all the difference.
So the quilt that's hung up, the actual finished quilt hung up behind you, is actually hung the other way round.
Yes, it's...
Because otherwise
yeah,
you wouldn't
because
be able
I
to see
confuse
it.
myself. I'm like, have I done it wrong? And I'm like, no, I haven't. It's just turned this
Just because
way.
it fits, but actually it works either way, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
There's not really a direction to it.
No, it's only really when it comes to doing the squares,
Okay.
just to make sure that they're all the same way. That's the thing. You do need to make sure that each one is made the exact same.
Right, okay.
So all I'm doing is sewing these right sides together, 1/4 inch seam. So take your time, because you don't want these, because what these are going to form is the actual crosses themselves. And so just take your time, line up as you go along. As you can see, I've not used any pins. I'm just lining up those two edges. Nearly done. Yeah. And nearly done now. And also what you do need as well is, I recommend that you have a bit of best press as well nearby. Or some starch, just to spray the fabric as well, which I'll do in a second.
So these are for making the centre square bit?
Making the centre squares and the cross.
Oh, okay. You just join all of these together?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
and then you use it for both. Well, that makes it quite simple.
So all I'm going to do now is just open them up. So you do need your iron set up. You will be using your iron quite a bit, so I'm just going to get that out.
And are you to one side or an open
to one
seam
side.
person?
I do you know, I used to be an open seam person. But
I'm with you. I was always an open seam person.
But I've completely changed now.
I do change between them a bit though.
It depends what I'm making. I still open the seams in some respect, but I think you get more accuracy doing it this way.
Yeah.
But I never used to say that. I used to think it was the other way around. I don't know. It's what you get used to.
I think sometimes open seam can distort the fabric a bit.
Yes, and
but it does make it lie flatter.
It does, and exactly that, like you say, it does distort the seam, and especially on this bit, if you open the seam, I think it would.
And also, I think when you're cutting across seams, like what you're going to be doing, it stops the stitches coming undone if you press to one side.
Yes, that makes sense.
Because it sort of holds it together. But then I find sometimes if I've got too much bulk going on when I've joined it all together, I think, well, I'll press them open now. It's a very, I think people get a bit sniffy about things like that. Oh, there's a right way. There's no right way. You fancy doing it, to be honest.
Whenever I do open my seam, so as you can see then, I didn't press hard. All I did was go very lightly to the side that I wanted it to press. And then I will press harder on this side.
Right.
Only because if you go straight in and go really, really hard, that centre, you might think that's lying flat, but really you could open it and you're losing about
so by pressing it really hard, okay.
And then I'll press it that little bit harder because, just going across it there, I can tell that, there's a couple of mil.
So do you use that spray, the Best Press spray on
I do use the Best, I'm going to use that in a second.
At what point do you put that on then?
I like to use it throughout when I quilt, only because I think it helps things stay a lot more sturdy. These are going to be cut into lots of different sections. It's usually only used on fabric that's been cut on the bias, isn't it? But I tend to I just find it's easier to sew.
So do you spray it before you cut, or do you spray it as you're pressing it?
I sew it as I press it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because some people, I think, spray their fabric before they start, don't they?
Yeah. Sometimes it's too much fabric to just spray the whole thing.
So you just do it as you press it.
Do as I go along. But yeah, so say if I was just doing a cushion or something like that, then you can just get away with spraying it all. But I don't want to waste my spray, and I don't want to spray the whole fabric.
So if for somebody who's never used Best Press, what's the point of it?
It just makes it nice and sturdy, doesn't it? And it smells nice.
Yeah, we have got it in we've got it in an unscented. But
so what that's done there is that's just going to be easier for me to handle. And it's going to make it a lot easier when I come to the cutting stage.
Okay.
That, the fabric's not going to move around as much.
So it just gives it a bit of stability.
Yeah. It's like when you, start shirts.
Right.
To make the, back when, years ago when I was back in the RAF, we used to always have to starch our shirts within an inch of their life. Yeah.
Really? No creases?
No creases. You wanted to make sure that you had no tram lines going down your sleeves and things. You'd know about it if you did. Right then, so there we go.
It's like you always know when someone's got a new shirt on out the box and it's got lines down there.
It's got all the lines down.
You think, why did you not iron that?
We used to have to iron extra seams, iron extra lines down like a fake seam. And all
really? Oh, God.
Okie doke. So now, I'm just going to pop that to one side. Where's my rotary cutter? There we go. And you're going to take your cutting mat. I'm just going to trim
the ruler, the little ruler you're using was back in stock yesterday. What's good about this ruler then?
Oh, it's not too big. At home, I've got quite a big
ruler.
The Goldilocks ruler.
It's not too big, not too small.
Oh, right, okay. You lost me
there.
What are you on
about?
I'm back on board now.
Back on. Not too big, not too small.
So
it's just the right size.
It's just easier to handle. I mean, it's 12.5 inches. That tends to be the size of the quilt block.
Yeah, that's true. So and I guess the big ones are lovely for cutting when you're cutting across the full.
That's right. So to cut the long strips initially, obviously I'd use a longer ruler.
Right, but for cutting,
this is just easier and it doesn't get in the way as much. Okay,
I know. I think all of our guests ask for that when they come in, and we've had it. It was been out of stock for ages.
I know. I was just mooching behind the when you was
Delphine
talking.
Found it. And thought, well, I'll have that. It's very nice.
So I'm going to first cut my 2 squares for what those will form. If I just do that, that's what's going to be the centre of the cross.
There you go. I like the choice of those fabrics together, because one's a big print and one's a small one, but
they work really well together, don't
but there's
they?
colours in the navy that really go. They've got the green in the navy print that goes with the oak leaves.
And it
It's
stands
called
out well, doesn't
It
it?
should be called oak leaf, shouldn't it? This one.
So, and then I'm going to
Oh, it is called oak.
cut 4.
Funny that.
And it's quite simple because they've been quite clever. See, the fabric's just slightly moved there, but that's no bother. All I'll do is trim. There's enough to tidy it up to trim off that little excess bit there. There we are. So there's 2. And then I need another 4. So you tend to get 1 block out of 2 strips, really. So I want them really nice and tidy. So I double check each one. There's only a tiny bit that came off there. One more.
And does it tell you in the instructions about sort of doing all of the cutting for the whole quilt in one go? So it's like a production line?
It does, yeah. I think you need, I can't remember how many of these you need, but I remember on one of them.
So it's not like, because you know some quilt instructions show you how to make 1 block and then they say now make the rest, but this is actually doing it like a production line.
Doing it like a production line,
because it says like
yeah.
cut 16 strip sets, so cut 80 of those. Yeah, so that's quite nice, because I don't know, I think people sew in different ways. I'm a production line sewer.
I am. So the only thing I did do is just made 1 block first, just to get my head round.
You know, I always make 1 because I often get that wrong.
Yeah. Did I get this one wrong? It was this bit, the centre. That
Is
I
there
got
enough
the
if
wrong way
you do
round.
one wrong?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you've got loads.
That's reassuring, because I often do it's a bit like my crochet. I usually undo it and then do the second bit right.
The thing is, though, we never always get it right first time. There's the amount
I
of
do,
times
yeah,
we get it right
it's
is
very
compared
rare.
to-
And then I go, oh, of course.
So because I've ironed the seams in one direction, I've just taken those 2 centre pieces and you nest the seams together. So all I've done...
How do you do that then?
So it's all about just feeling for it,
Because you always read that, nest together. What does that mean?
So you get your 2 pieces.
Always get
you
a nice
know
close
that
up
you
now,
want
thank
them.
you, Elliot.
So you know that you want the opposite fabric.
Yeah.
So you put them right sides together, and because you've got one going that way and one coming this way, you just push them in together, and then you can feel that it's nice and flat. And I always take a little sneaky peek before I commit, and then I can see that I know that that's going to be absolutely bang on.
So that's another good reason to press to one side, because you can feel them.
you can feel
butt
that
up.
I can feel butt up.
Butt up.
There you go.
Butting up. That's a technical term. Nothing to
So
do with butts, just butting.
I'm now going to sew these 2 together, right sides together. And as you can see, I didn't backstitch. There's no need to, because you're going to hide those seams anyway.
Oh, okay.
And then when you open them out, you'll have that perfect
Let's
join.
see. Oh, look at that.
It's not bad, eh?
That's very impressive. No pins involved.
No, I didn't
pins
use
were harmed.
not a pin there. And also, you don't. The pins are great in some respects, but when you're doing piecing things like that, it can distort the fabric a little bit.
Yeah, but I guess because you've got them butting up like that, as you're sewing across it, it pushes it together.
So another thing now. So I still want. So I'm going to open. I still want my the seams to go in different directions. So this is where you open out the cross. So I need to put my head in the way in a minute, just so I can see. There we are. So what I've done, as you can see there, it's really, really small. You have to really zoom in to see that. But there's 4 tiny little squares there. You just open those out with your fingers, and as you can see now, that both of my seams are now going in the opposite direction.
Oh, okay.
And that will lie really nice and flat. Can you see? There's the tiny little square.
Oh, yeah.
And then just by doing that, you can push them open.
Right.
Otherwise there's going to be too much bulk on one side.
That's really good. Nice tip.
And that way you don't have to
And
press
then when
them
you
open.
quilt the whole thing, it's a bit flatter, isn't it?
This will lie really flat. So again, try not to move the iron too much. And there you go, that's that perfect.
That is very
Perfect
perfect. You
There we are.
see his beak. You've got his beak in both of them.
Oh yeah.
That's what I quite like about these big prints when you cut them up for piecing like that. You get little bits that sent in, and you couldn't plan it. You'd never be
No.
able to plan it. It just
There's
sort of happens,
happy
doesn't it? A
accidents.
happy accident, yeah.
So now when you sew, we're going to sew on the two ends. Now this is where you do need to check your diagram, check the pictures, just to make sure that you know, I know that this is turned the other way round, so, but you want the green corner on the top left.
Right.
And so that way you know when you come and sew these two on, because obviously it's the opposite,
Yeah.
you know that's going to be correct. If you did it that way, it will be wrong. It won't work. Okay.
So it's got to be opposites.
Yeah. So again, I'm just going to right sides together and go back. So you nest those two up, or bottom up.
Bottom up. Is that not a term?
It is now.
Term. Butting up.
Okay. And then again, you know you're going to get that perfect
Nice.
lined up nicely. So then I'm going to come and sew.
It does go together well, doesn't it? Having the sort of the two different scale prints.
It does, yeah, really nice. It's like I say, it's just getting that contrast, isn't it? Because I think if there were both two big prints, you'd lose that.
It's such a
effect.
lovely quilt. I don't know whether I'd sort of want to put it on the bed, but it's actually quite a nice piece of wall art as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I was talking to Hannah about it actually, and she was saying that she'd love to have William Morris wallpaper, but it's so expensive. When you move, you can't take it with you. But if you hang that on the wall,
exactly.
you can.
But it's also got insulation, isn't it? That's why they used to have all these tapestries in old castles
Is it?
to keep them warm.
I suppose that makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
So actually, this is really eco-friendly because if you oh, sorry,
just
the quilt kit has
sewed that one on the wrong
now
side then.
sold out.
First time I've done that.
Is it?
I didn't pay attention to what I was doing.
What, sold out or?
No, not sold out.
I said the quilt kit's now sold out. Just...
No. I sewed it to the wrong side. Bear with.
Oh, I do that all the time. While Delphine's unpicking.
I'm a quick unpicker.
So if you go onto the website, if you go onto www.sewingstreet.com, and if you scroll down, go onto the pre-order section, right at the very, very bottom. Hannah has put the remainder of the William Morris fabrics that we have by the ½ metre. So if you love William Morris, you're inspired by this and you think, well, I've already got my own quilt pattern, I want to have a go, but I really want some William Morris fabrics, we have got a lovely selection for you. Only a handful, but they are William Morris fabrics. But it's just like, you know, if you want some extra or you like the idea that, or you just want to make a cushion, there it is, £7.49. So which ones are those? Oh, they are from the those are from the Orkney collection as well. See, that's your cushion cover with no effort because all the pattern and the print is there for you already. £7.49, look at that. So £7.49 for ½ metre. That's a cushion front and back, or 2 cushions with a plain back. That's really cheap. Imagine what you pay for a William Morris cushion.
There you go. So all fixed.
Oh, that's amazing. That just happened like magic.
So now, when you come to press the seams, it doesn't tell you this in the instructions. This is just a little tip just to make it go together.
Delphine top tip coming up.
So when we come and sew the other two sides on, because of the direction of the seams, you'll end up having to move them around or it could get a bit bulky. So on the middle section, press the seams inwards.
Okay.
So just try and make a habit of doing that. You don't have to do it this way. This is just how, from making quite a few of these, I know it's,
That makes it flatter.
it makes it flatter.
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You can press it wherever way you want. No one's ever going to look at it.
I'm not telling you
It'll
how
be
to
on
do
top
it.
of the wadding,
Just
but
give
it will.
advice.
But sometimes you do when you're particularly doing a new quilt pattern you haven't done before. You really have to think through what's the flattest way, and it's only when you've made a couple of blocks you realise.
You work it out. Yeah.
You've worked that one out for them.
So there you go. So that's my centre section. So I'm happy with that. So you just need to pop that to a side now.
Nice.
So there we are. And now we're going to put the triangles on. So we are going to be working with a slight bias. So I am going to give it a quick press. So I've already pre-cut this square to 6.5 inches.
Oh, so you cut squares and then cut.
And then
cut them into triangles. Okay.
Yeah, so, but I'm just going to give that a quick. Oh. Ideally, when you do use best press or anything like that, iron it onto the back. Just because if you have a dirty iron or anything and it's quite hot and it will stick to it, it will leave a little mark. So.
Okay.
But then that's usually because I've got a dirty iron. Sorry.
Please clean your iron before use. So have I. Well, that's because I often press Bondaweb by accident.
Oh, I'm always doing
And
that.
I don't know why. Why? And I think, oh God, I can't believe
It's
I've
just,
done that again.
it's just a lack of concentration
I know.
sometimes.
You think, oh, I'll get away with that.
So you get that square and then you just subcut that into 4 triangles straight across the diagonal. So again, try and be quite
It's nice as well in the instructions that they say about cutting it into strips of fabric, then that into squares and that into triangles, because it's a much more efficient way of cutting.
I know. I remember when I first started sewing, and especially quilting, the amount of times I was staying there for ages, just that little tip of cutting the strips. I'd cut all of these.
Oh, rather than
squares.
cutting strips and
Yeah.
sub-cutting. But that's taken somebody sat there and really worked the whole sub-cutting thing is really useful,
it's really
isn't
clever. So there we are. And then again, so I'm going to a little tip. Once you've done a couple of these, you'll be off. You'll be doing. There we are. So I know that I want that piece to go here. So the best thing to do is just have it in front of you. You know that those where you want your 2 triangles to go just there, and you know that you want this piece to go here. So I find it's always best to just lay them out like that. And then once you're happy, I'm going to sew that one to right side and then the other one. So I'm just going to go and do those now. So make sure they line up nice and flat. And another little tip, when you come to sew these on, obviously I'm going to sew this one, it will be the foot of my machine will start here and go down that way. Now it's a lot easier to do it that way than it would be that way, only because your machine will want to move that little corner out. It might want to kick it out. So even when you come to sew this one on, right sides together, what are you doing? There we are, like that. I would start it from here, only because if you do it the other way, it will try and move it.
So have the triangle on top.
Yeah, I should have just said it that way. Just have the triangle on the top. Yeah, I'm so glad that you're here. Oh, dear. Yeah,
I was trying to work that out. So the triangle's on top.
Put the triangle, just put the triangle on the top.
Or
Yes.
the little point
It will move.
will move.
Yes.
And you don't want your points moving.
You don't want your points moving, no. And it saves you using pins.
Yeah.
There we are. I love you.
That's great. Well, actually, okay, so the triangle's on top.
I'll get myself into it. There we are.
It looks really weird that you make it like with these long strips and these little triangles, because you cut it down afterwards, but when you're making it, you've got all these bits sticking out.
There we are. So as you can see, by doing that, my points haven't moved. They've not gone anywhere. So I'm just going to put that there for now. There we are. And then I'll do this one. Line that bit up. And the other one. So it comes together quite quick once you've worked it all out.
Yeah, I think I do what you do, make a block first, because it is simple, but it's seeing you make it, you can see how it all works, but I'd want to have a little go at one.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you can
makes it a lot
production
easier.
line it.
Yeah, well, that's what I did afterwards. I just put the radio on and I knew what I was doing there.
What were you listening to?
I listen to a lot of podcasts. Really.
Do you?
Yeah. I like a podcast. Yeah, so it's not so much music anymore. I just like people just
I love
talking.
a podcast. I listened to Miss Marple on the way up.
Oh, do you?
Oh, I'm going to have to listen to the other half on the way back. No idea who sent in these poison pen letters. I just put into the Radio 4 crime drama. And Miss
Yeah.
Marple drama came up.
There's
Brilliant.
so many podcasts.
Oh, I
on there.
absolutely love it. Well, when you're driving and it's so boring, is it? I hate the M5.
Oh, it is a bit of a.
It's 90 minutes. I thought, oh, I'll have the other half on the way back. Who's been sending the poison pen letters? Luckily, Miss Marple's on the case.
I have a different. Like I subscribe to lots of different podcasts, so you know when it's a Monday, you know you're going to get that one, and Tuesday you're going to get that one.
Oh, okay.
But again, I think it's with it as sewers, you always need something in the background.
Yeah,
don't you?
it depends what I'm doing as well, whether because if it's something I really want to listen to, it can't be while I'm machining because then I can't hear.
Yeah, you have to keep
I have to
pressing
keep pressing
pause.
pause because
Yeah.
then I miss it. And I always save the Archer's Omnibus for when I'm feeling tiredest in the car on the way home.
Nick
Love
always
the Archer's Omnibus.
Nick always knows if it's silent in the kitchen when I'm sewing. He knows it's not going well. So Mum's sewing in the kitchen, but there's nothing in the background. Don't go in there.
Yeah,
because you know
because you're really
I'm
concentrating. Yeah. And if I'm writing instructions, I can't have it on at all.
No, I can't either. It's silence when
It's
I'm writing
absolute
instructions.
silence, yeah.
So I've pressed those flat. Now I know some of you might have gone, oh, she's pressing the dark over to the light. You can't see it. You won't be able to see it. You can't see it at all. And also, this is, you know, when I press this one inwards,
yeah. This is your seam pressing
yeah,
plan.
because otherwise you've had to move all those. So all you do now is you're going to buddy up those seams. So first of all, usually you go straight from the middle, don't you? But I've actually done it from this seam here. Now I know that because they've been pressed in different directions, I know that's going to sit perfectly.
Nice.
And so will the rest. Now, again, if I started sewing straight from here, you can see when I lie it flat, even though everything was cut really straight and spot on, because these are on the bias, they will try and move a little bit. So what I do, I don't sew straight away from this end. I'll sew from this join to the bottom and then I'll do that way. Only because it stops things from moving around and you don't need to use a pin.
Right, okay, so rather than, because if you'd started at the point of the triangle, it would have started shifting
It would just
a
start
bit.
moving around. And it might only be out by, you're barely visible, but you know, if you're a perfectionist, then you know.
Well, it might make a difference when you're cutting it all anyway.
Yeah, so that's, again, this is just the way I do it. It's just a little tip. And then you can see that join is going to sit nicely. And then you also know that is also going to, what do you say? Not buddy up, butt up.
Yeah.
You know that's going to sit well as well. To the end, and again, it's going to stop that little point kicking out.
Okay. It's because sometimes people use that technique when they're in bags, don't they? They sew from the centre outwards, or soft toys to get a nice join. You sew from the centre out.
Yeah.
And I guess that's to do with the distortion of the fabric. I wouldn't do that. See, I'd have just sewn all the way across and then and put masses of pins in.
Oh, would you?
Yes. So I think that's a great tip.
So
remember that.
I just find that now.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I wouldn't have
it's
thought that. I'd have
perfect.
just put loads of pins in and kept
You've just
sewing.
gone for it.
But no, I think that's really good because
It just
you're right.
makes
It does
more
wibble
accurate.
about a bit, doesn't it? So I like that tip.
It just makes it more accurate. I mean, you do have that little tail at the end that you do need to turn over with the and just be keep your finger on it. Just make sure.
Also, I
it's not gonna
suppose it
butt out.
stops because you know when you start at a point, sometimes it will get a bit gummed up in the machine.
It does,
doesn't it?
yeah, and you usually have to start off with.
Nice tip. I like that one.
So now I'm just going to do again. I'm going to butt up. Can't stop saying it now. Butt up.
Buddy up. You can change it into buddy up.
Buddy up. Yeah, buddy up. I've lost my foot then. There we are. And then you know that those seams are going to be nice. And 'cause I mean, this is such beautiful fabric, and you're going to be putting your time into making sure it sits well. You know, just take
Well,
those
exactly.
extra-
I think when you've spent the money on the kit and the time that you put into it as well, it's worth getting it right, isn't it?
That's it. So if you have got one of those stilettos as well, that's quite handy if you're doing the points. Especially if you are new to sewing, and you don't like getting your fingers too close to the.
Okay, and they are on the website. What are they called on the website, Hannah? If you put in the website on sewingstreet.com stiletto, it will come up there, and then you can see them. And that's just a little tool that holds the machine, the seam flat as you sew.
And
Not
there
the
we
machine,
are.
that should be flat anyway.
And then you'll have your perfect points.
Perfect cross.
So then we're going to press that all before we cut it down, and then I'll show you how we put it together. And also, because of where we initially press the seams, when I press these open, it's going to sit nice and flat.
You've thought this through, haven't you?
I have. I have.
You see, I wouldn't. I'd have just done it and thought, oh, do you know what? They don't all kind of lie right now.
I never
wished
used to be
I'd
this,
had.
I never used to be this fussy about my seams, and I think the more quilting I do, it makes such a difference.
It does. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But you have to really think it through and plan it. So if you've bought the kit, do watch this back, because then the time that you will save following Delphine's pressing seams.
So you might find your own way. It's just like
I know,
this,
but
I've
you
done
have,
it and it's worked. So
you've planned that through, because you've started off right at the beginning of which way the seams go all the way out.
there we are.
And you get a neater finish.
Yeah, you do. And then, like I said, I always press one side before I press the other side, and then you square it off. Where's my ruler? There we are. So it does show you how to square off. When you square off any piece of any blocks, always do two sides first. That's a bit. I need to press that out a bit more. But you always do the two sides first, and then the other two sides.
So
you
the
don't
edges of the triangles are right. You're just cutting it level with them.
Yeah, so these are right. So all you're going to do, and if you have got one that's a little bit wonky, I've got a couple of tips for that as well. Okay, so you always do the two sides first. And then the other side. So I need to make sure that that measures correctly. 10.5, that is. So I'm just going to go straight and do that side. I'm just going to measure that. And that's going to be out on that side by about 1/8 of an inch, but that's going to be hidden within a seam allowance, so I'm quite happy with that. Let me just double check that. Yeah, that's going to be out by 1/8 of an inch. So I'll put it there. If you have got a stripology ruler, I'd recommend you use one of those.
Back in stock. Stripology rulers are back in stock.
So it's just that bit
And
there.
then you can
So I just
line
need
it
to-
up with the stripology.
Yeah, so I just need to press that bit open a bit there, and then that will give me that extra 1/8 of an inch there. Now also, when you do come and sew these blocks together, I'll only do the one side because I want to get on and sew the other bits. If you do this all the way around.
Oh, so like a stay stitch.
Yeah, so if you sew an 1/8 of an inch, like I said, I've not measured anything, I've not drawn anything out, all that will do is going to keep that stronger as opposed to that bit stretching.
Okay, so you've got 4 minutes left.
So if you just do that all the way around.
Right, so that's really good, because it doesn't tell you to do that. Does it say? Oh no, it does tell you about stay stitching.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea, isn't it? Because you don't realise quite how stretchy the ends of those triangles are.
So what I'm going to do, because this is a corner piece, because this one I've made earlier.
Let's see. Wow, you've made Lulu, finished it.
So I've done 9 blocks. So as you can see, there's a piece missing. So if I put it that way round, that's the piece that I've got missing. Can you see that?
Oh, because there's triangles on the edges.
So yeah, so this is to show you how you actually put it together. So you don't put this together in rows. You put them on in diagonals. So if I just
Oh, I see. Because of the triangles on the edges.
Yes. So where is it? There we are. Where is it? Okay. So imagine this is the bottom corner of my quilt that I've got. Let me just tidy up a bit. I'm a bit messy. So to put this together, I'll put that there. So I shall move that over a little bit more. Does that help? Yeah. And then you'll have your bigger triangles. That'll go there.
Oh, okay. But you've already
And
cut
then
all of this out, so it's
I've
quite,
already
quite
cut all
nice,
this out.
laying it all out. Oh, so you, yes, it's completely different to normal, isn't it?
So all you do to make that finish off that corner is that I'd sew that here, right sides together. I have got that out by about 1/8 of an inch on that side, but that's fine. You just hide that within the seam anyway. And then that side to that side, and then you'd cut this in half.
And that would go in the corner.
Yeah, I'd probably sew this corner on to this bit before I sewed those two on, and then you sew that section to there, and that's done.
It's done.
So this was sewn on in one section, and then again, and then again,
Okay,
and again,
and then you just add the borders.
and that's it. Yeah.
Beautiful. So it's actually a reasonably simple quilt, isn't it, for
Yeah.
a beginner?
It's just take your time, press it. Just make sure you press it well.
Press it, best press.
You know, so you know, for example, that I should have pressed that over that little bit more, and then that way it would have squared up
Okay.
a bit better. But then I can tell just by turning it over, that's given me that
Just
extra.
a bit extra.
Yeah.
So take
Yeah.
your time then is what you're
Take
saying.
your time, and yeah, be careful with your pressing. Don't move the iron too much. Just rest it on the top of the fabric and try not to distort it.
Nice.
And you know, these I've given you a few tips. You can use them if you want to. You might find, you know, the ways that work. But you know, I managed to do all this, and it's managed to sit quite nicely. I'm quite proud of it actually.
It's very good. You've done loads. Well, thanks so much, Delphine.
problem.
So we will see you back here in an hour
Yeah,
with Hares.
with hairs, spelt correctly.
Spelled correctly. We'll tell you about that when she comes on next. Hares and Hares. So complete sellout kit, gone. Kit's gone.
Lovely.
Beautiful. If you have bought the kit or you are making a quilt anyway, we do have the wadding that you need. The 80/20 wadding is the best thing for this quilt. I'm a bit biased because this is my favourite wadding. It says cotton, but it is 80/20, and the beauty of this is when you've finished your quilt, hang on, left a bit. When you finish making your quilt and it's all quilted and backed and everything, you put it in the washing machine on a cold wash, completely cold. When it comes out, it's slightly shrunk, just very, very slightly, so it gives it that sort of hand-quilted heirloom quality. I didn't believe that would happen. I thought the whole thing would fall apart, but I've done it with the quilt and it is beautiful. It's really nice to quilt through, and I think because it's got the cotton which makes it natural, but a little bit of polyester for strength, it is beautiful. So this is the you always need your wadding to be at least 8 inches bigger all round. And then you've got, and the backing fabric as well. So you've got extra for the backing and the wadding, and then you put the quilt top on top. But this is more than enough for a quilt that size, because this is 90 by 108. But this, I think £32.99. I always have a roll of this as well that I keep for making bags and cushions, because then you've got loads and loads. But we have also got it by the ½ metre. So if you want to buy it by the ½ metre instead, then it's £6.99 for ½ metre, and it's 244 centimetres wide. It is really wide. It's different to this one, but it's a cotton mix wadding again, glycerine, but it is a similar wadding, but we sell it by the ½ metre at £6.99, and it is really, really wide. It's fantastic. So if you want that, remember we will cut it to order. So if you want a piece that's 4 metres long, put in 8 units in your basket, because we sell it by the ½ metre. But we've also got some wool wadding. Now this is fantastic for anyone who has allergies. So anyone who has dust allergies and struggles with, whether it's polyester or feathers, wool is beautiful. I mean, it is more expensive. Remember, it is washable, though. It isn't, you don't have to just dry clean this or hand wash it. This is machine washable. But it gives you a slightly softer, squishier feel. But it is beautifully warm. So if you really want a slightly higher loft than a cotton wadding, and you want the warmth, but it is really nice to quilt. It's lovely to quilt through, although it has the loft, and it does keep the loft. So even though once you've quilted it, you still get that nice squishy thing. But wool wadding is beautiful. I mean, it is more expensive than the cotton, but you are paying for the product, and it is a lovely. I mean, but for something a really special quilt, and it is worth trying. You know, there are different waddings, they do different things, and it is worth it. And some people prefer a very low loft, some a higher loft, but this wool wadding, although it is more expensive, is beautiful. And that's a really nice big size as well, 90 by 108 inches. So that'll do you for most quilts you're going to make. Right. So we are going to go for a break, and in a couple of minutes' time, I will be back with a recap of Flower of the Month, where we have a different flower. So we've got 12 flowers, different flower for each month, and then a kit to make the whole quilt. And I'll be showing you all the different flowers and what you can do with them. So I'll see you back in a couple of minutes.
Have you heard about all of the different ways you can shop with Sewing Street and Yarn Lane? You can either shop on our websites, sewingstreet.com and yarnlane.com. You can also order by phone by calling our friendly UK customer service team. For Sewing Street, call 0800 001 4433, and for Yarn Lane, call 0800 4700 600. And don't forget about the Sewing Street app. Here you can shop all of the Sewing Street products as well as watch the live shows from anywhere. You can download the app onto your smartphone or your tablet by simply searching Sewing Street in your app store. And one final thing, no matter how many times you check out on Sewing Street or Yarn Lane in one day, you will only pay one postage and packaging. Happy shopping!
Hi, I'm Debbie Harris, and I'm so excited to be one of the new guest designers here on Sewing Street. I live and work in Melton Mowbray in Leicestershire, where I run my own knitting and sewing business called Mabel and Deb. I specialise in sewing and knitting and crocheting, and I've been doing all of those three things from being a little girl when my mum taught me all things knitting, crochet and sewing. Started off just crocheting little chain stitches and granny squares, and then actually patchwork sewing little hexagons, and they're still my favourite shape to sew now. I used to be a school teacher. For over 20 years I was teaching in classrooms and just had the knitting and the crochet and sewing as a background hobby, but now I get to do this as my job, and I'm absolutely passionate about it and really want to share all that passion and excitement with you guys. A tip that I think is worth sharing with you is always use quality materials. So whether that's your fabrics or your threads or wool, the difference in the quality of your materials can really make a difference to your finished project. And always use the right tools, so whether it's a rotary cutter or a pair of scissors that are specially made for that job, that too can make all the difference. My claim to fame in 2020 was being one of the winners of the Great British Make Off here on Sewing Street when I did my debut sewing demonstration in November last year. It was just a wonderful experience, and I'm so excited to be here on my Sewing Street journey with you all, bringing you lots of tips, techniques, and looking forward to doing lots of exciting projects with you throughout the year. So lovely to meet you, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.
Stuck for ideas for the perfect gift? Why not get them a gift card? You can buy Sewing Street and Yarn Lane gift cards loaded up with anything from £10 to £500. Shop our gift cards online at www.sewingstreet.com or www.yarnlane.com, or purchase them via our UK call centre on 0800 001 44 33. Follow Sewing Street and Yarn Lane on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with what's coming up on the show, as well as being the first to know about our amazing offers. Get involved with our competitions that are exclusive to social media. And pick up some top tips from us too. In need of a crafting fix? There are so many ways you can watch Sewing Street and Yarn Lane. Sewing Street is live from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. every day on Freeview 72 and Sky 670. Alternatively, if you want to watch us on a tablet or on the move, you can tune in on our YouTube channel, the Sewing Street app, or the websites at www.sewingstreet.com and www.yarnlane.com. You can watch past shows on Sky 670 from 1 p.m. every day, as well as our YouTube channel, the app, and our website. Yarn Lane is on from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Visit our programme guide to find out when and what's on. So you never have to spend a minute without us.
We know that shopping online can be a confusing and sometimes daunting task, and sometimes all you want to do is talk to a human being. Well, our family-run customer service team are on call 24/7. They're full of friendly, warm-hearted individuals, all trained to make your shopping experience as easy and as enjoyable as possible. And not only will they take your order, they will also help and guide you on your shopping journey, so you never miss out. Keep up to date with what's on Sewing Street and Yarn Lane, as well as all the latest news and special offers by signing up to our email newsletters. For Sewing Street, head on over to www.sewingstreet.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and you're done. It's exactly the same for Yarn Lane. Head on over to www.yarnlane.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and that's it. You are now subscribed to both Sewing Street's and Yarn Lane's email newsletters, so you'll never miss out on the latest news and special offers ever again.
Have you heard about all of the different ways you can shop with Sewing Street and Yarn Lane? You can either shop on our websites, sewingstreet.com and yarnlane.com. You can also order by phone by calling our friendly UK customer service team. For Sewing Street, call 0800 001 4433, and for Yarn Lane, call 0800 4700 600. And don't forget about the Sewing Street app. Here you can shop all of the Sewing Street products as well as watch the live shows from anywhere. You can download the app onto your smartphone or your tablet by simply searching Sewing Street in your app store. And one final thing, no matter how many times you check out on Sewing Street or Yarn Lane in one day, you will only pay one postage and packaging. Happy shopping!
In need of a crafting fix? There are so many ways you can watch Sewing Street and Yarn Lane. Sewing Street is live from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. every day on Freeview 72 and Sky 670. Alternatively, if you want to watch us on a tablet or on the move, you can tune in on our YouTube channel, the Sewing Street app, or the websites at www.sewingstreet.com and www.yarnlane.com. You can watch past shows on Sky 670 from 1 p.m. every day, as well as our YouTube channel, the app, and our website. Yarn Lane is on from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Visit our programme guide to find out when and what's on, so you never have to spend a minute without us. Stuck for ideas for the perfect gift? Why not get them a gift card? You can buy Sewing Street and Yarn Lane gift cards loaded up with anything from £10 to £500. Shop our gift cards online at www.sewingstreet.com or www.yarnlane.com, or purchase them via our UK call centre on 0800 001 44 33.
Welcome back to Sewing Street. So we are on Flower of the Month, but now it's like Flower of the Year. So if you haven't followed us for the last year and you wonder what on earth I'm on about, then I'll explain. So what we did is back in, which was the one we started with? Was it April? April, I think we started with. Last year we printed a flower, and there are flowers of the month. Some months have two flowers, but we chose the one we like the most. But there is a traditional flower of the month, and the reason behind that is the whole sort of language of flowers with the Victorians. Each flower had a different meaning, and it was all to do with giving someone. So if you gave some flowers to someone of a different month, then they had different meanings, and people used them as their birth month. So each flower symbolises something to do with that month. So because we all love flowers, we started back in April last year, and we printed one panel every month, and then at the end of the whole 12 months, which was May. Yeah, so we must have started with May because April was the final one. We made them all, put them all into one big quilt. That's what you can see on the screen at the moment. And you can make a quilt using every single flower. So all the flowers can be bought individually. If you just want one, because maybe you've got a friend, your best friend's birthday's in November and you want to make them a cushion or a bag with the November flower on, or maybe your birthday's in February, or there's a special anniversary happening in August, you can buy them all separately. But if you want to make the whole quilt, then we have got a special kit. It's a bundle, £129.87. Now, in that bundle, you have got one of each of the 12 flowers. And I'm going to show you the panels in a minute because it isn't just the flower that's on the panel, but other fabrics too. So you have one of each of those, so that's 12. You also get the panel that has all the borders, the internal borders, the sashing, the external borders and the squares and the binding, and that's another panel that has all of that on in colours that echo and coordinate and are taken from each of the flowers, so it coordinates beautifully. And also the instructions, what I wrote, so that hopefully they work, and the instructions as well to make the complete quilt. So in here you've got a picture of it on the front and then all the information about exactly how you make up the quilt, and so that is in that bundle. So luckily this bundle is also on split pay, so if you want to divide it across 2 equal payments, you pay £64.93. Now there's no interest charged on that at all. It is the £129.87 split in half. You will be charged the first £64.93 now, and then in another month's time you'll be charged the other, but you will receive your kit straight away. You haven't got to wait to pay both. It's just a way of you spreading the payments, that's all, because it's over £99.99. So if you want to buy that, all 12 flowers, the panel with all the borders, the sashings and the squares and the instructions, that is to make the whole beautiful Flower of the Month quilt that you can see on screen at the moment. It is absolutely gorgeous. We have only brought this to you once before, but it was so popular. I never got to even finish making it because I showed you how to make it during it, but it was so popular we had to go through all the different flowers. But we thought we'd bring it back to you again today because obviously you can make them whenever you want. So that is the complete kit. So we're also selling all of the book panels separately. But we have got one other little thing that I'm just going to show you first. So this is a little extra. So this is inspired by the Flowers of the Month. Now, when we did this first time, it sold out because it was so popular. Now, popular. These are like charm squares, 5 by 5 inch squares. There are 40 of them on the panel. Now, they all feature miniature versions of all the flowers that are used in the Flower of the Month, and also some of the patterns, which are all in complementary colours. So it's like a charm pack, 40 5-inch squares. So make a beautiful piece of patchwork. They're all spaced slightly apart. So what you can do is cut them all out and you can use them as individual squares. But actually what works quite nicely, like for example, if you look at these here, you could just cut out 9 squares in a hole and then just quilt that. Because you've got the gaps between them, it gives it quite a nice bit of balance. Or you could cut them apart. There are loads and loads of different projects, small quilts, bags, cushions, all sorts of things using charm packs. They'd even, you know, nice little pocket if you're making a bag of pocket on it, or you want to do some applique. Maybe this one, the violets, maybe you want to do a little bit of applique. Press some Bondo web on the back of that, cut carefully around the outside, and then you can sew that on top of something else. But it's lovely that all the print squares are featuring prints that are in the coordinating strips that you get on the Flower of the Months. But it's beautiful. I mean, it's not part of the Flower of the Month quilt, so you don't need that. It's just sort of a complementary thing. And I think for £12.99, because if you bought a 40 square charm pack, they are substantially more than £12.99. And the background to each of these flowers is this tiny little spot. It's not a plain fabric. It gives you just that nice bit of extra relief and texture. It's beautiful, isn't it? And it's lovely that they are miniature versions of the big ones. So if you look at all of them, you can see. So there's the, which is that one? November is the carnation. Let me show you. I'm going to just show you. But look, there's the big carnation that's November. And then there's the little baby carnation that's on there. So they are exactly the same. But, you know, even if you were doing card making, I mean, I do this quite often. I bought myself a pack of brown craft cards. And then I quite often cut out fabric. And then you can just sew it on. And you sew straight through the card, but it does work really well. Or just a little pocket on something. Look nice. Or put them on pads on your denim jacket, little flowers. But there's so many different things. With 40 of them, you know, you could make a small quilt, make a cot quilt, make a lap quilt, a beautiful picnic blanket. So the last time we had this charm pack on sale, it sold out. So we decided, because we didn't have enough last time, we'd double the stock. And there are some left. Yeah, so, yeah, we've lost a third of, not a lost, a third of them. We've lost them, do you know where they're just lost? No, a third of them have already sold out. I'm thinking picnic blanket, though. Wouldn't it make a lovely picnic blanket? Just so pretty. And because it's 100% cotton, fully washable, you could use maybe a print fabric or a plain fabric to create sashing between each of the squares. It'd be so pretty. But, you know, or you could use it, you know, when you lose it for like those fabric books you get for babies, because they're just little squares. They'd be lovely for that. There's so many different things you can do. It's one of those panels that you buy, you put it on your shelf, and then you go, oh, I know where I've seen a poppy. That's what I can use it for. But it would make a nice little lap quilt as well. Or even, I'm thinking like, you know, it's like those little old-fashioned little kitchen curtains, doesn't it? Because obviously you can cut and join it in any way. You could cut it in half and join that half and make it really long. What a pretty curtain. But there's so many different things you can do. When you think it is a plique, it's you can embroider on them. You can really embellish them. A lot of the flowers work really well with embroidery. So even just the centerpiece of a cushion, if you look at the rose, for example, you could stem stitch the stems, and you can work some beautiful satin stitches on just the darker shades or just the lighter shades just to embellish them, or a few French knots around the edge, and that will just give them some texture. And if you look at, say, for the poppies, if you sewed black seed beads in the centre of the poppies, it would look absolutely stunning. So there's so many different things. You know, I just think for $12.99 for 45-inch squares, and they are so pretty, aren't they? Beautifully illustrated and totally exclusive to us. Oh, we've got a message from Carol. Would make lovely pillow shams to match the large quilt. Oh, they would, wouldn't they? That would be lovely. Oh, yeah, just lovely pillowcases. Or, you know, cushions, pillow shams to go on the bed to match the large one. I just love the fact that they are absolute miniature versions of the main quilt. Or, you know, those little, fill them with dried lavender, make little sachets. Put in your underwear drawer. Or lovely gifts as well. Really nice gifts. Hang them in your wardrobe, put them off your coat hangers. There's just so many different things. It's one of those things that you think, oh, I wonder what, even if you don't know what you're going to do with it now, you probably will later. So that is the complimentary. That's half of the panel. I'm trying to show you the other half because the whole panel is 140 centimetres wide. There are people multi-buying these, which I'm not surprised. I mean, you know, wouldn't it make a fantastic quilt? I like the fact it's got the small gap. It's like a half-inch gap between them. So if you bought several of these panels, you could just, without having to cut and piece every one, you could just join them all together. It'd make an absolutely beautiful quilt. Or even coasters, table mats, loads of birthday cards. You know, if you just got some white card, you've got a lot of cards here. And they're very easy. I made a card at the weekend, and I just put some... I put some Bondaweb on the back of it just to stiffen it up a bit, or you could just put interfacing on the back, and then I just stuck it with a bit of double-sided tape to the card and then just straight stitched around the edge. It looked really nice. It looked like I'd spent a fortune on it. But a bit of interfacing on the back does help with that, stops it from fraying when you do that. Or a zigzag stitch around the edge looks really nice. But even just the little plain, none of them are plain. Like that one's like a gingham. That's got like a linen stripe, you've got a honeycomb effect, you've got spots. There's so much going on in this panel, and all the colours in it, they all match, they all blend together beautifully. So it doesn't matter which order you put them in. Oh, we had a nice FIFO review. This is just what I wanted to make small gifts for my friends that have supported me during lockdown. Oh, that's really sweet. What a good idea. There's loads of little things that you could do with this. Because you can join them together, you can use 1 or you could use 9, you can cut them all out. You know, if you've got a couple of panels, you can make some beautiful. So there's another review. Good quality and large panel to work with will use to create additional cushions to match Flower of the Month quilt. Yeah, that's what I think. So, you know, you could make a small cushion if you took the 4. Or, you know, if you don't want to cut them out and join them all together, if you look at the placement of them, there's quite a few where you've got a plain panel, but there are some here where you've got just all the 4. So there's loads of different things you can do with these. And again, because they are absolute miniature versions of the main quilt. Or maybe you've just bought at some point, February Flower of the Month, you've bought the violet panel, you've only bought that one. You can now then buy all of the others and the border panel. So if you started off or you joined halfway through and you haven't got all of them, this is your opportunity to buy the remainder of them and the border panel if you want to make the whole quilt. Or maybe you bought the November one for a friend, they were so pleased with it. You've got another birthday coming up in August. This is your chance now to buy the August one, because we're not going to keep bringing these back all the time. We only bring them back for on special occasions like today. So shall we go through them? And let's start in January. Why not? Just got to find it. There's February. Where's January then? Next to it, underneath it. Oh, do you know, I think we've come out of order a bit. We did put them in order. No, they'd go in one way, then they go in the other way. So these are the large ones. This is for you can buy them separately like this. So you just have one, or you can buy them all to put into the quilt. So each of the panels are 12 inches square from there to there. Do I have a tape measure? I just want to show you, just so you know, because you know when sometimes they say they're one size and you think, is that before or after? Is that before you've cut it or after you've cut it? So, oh, it's got a funny end. Funny end, so that's 12. So they are actually 12 inches square. So when you join them together, if you get the complete kit and you've got the instructions, it does talk about when you've joined them together, then they will be 11.5 inches square. So if you make like the quilt that we have made, then once they're cut and pieced, they'll be 11.5 inches square. But what I really like about these is because they all have this extra border on. If you're using them for something else and you want them to be a little bit smaller, then you can easily cut this border down so you can make them into a slightly, so the centre section is 10 inches. So these are 1 inch either side. So if you wanted to make something different and you didn't want it to be that size, that extra border means you can cut it off. Now, every single one of these panels also has 5 complementing, coordinating fabric strips. Now, these have been designed so they're like your design roll strip. They're all 2.5 inches wide. There are 5 of them. They're all 43 inches long. So the same length as you would get if you bought them from like a design roll strip, because this fabric is wider than normal quilting fabric. But they're all printed in tones that are echoed and coordinated with the main block. So if I just pull it over slightly, so you can see you've got light coming through to dark. So the light here is the background there. This medium one is is part of the flower. This darker spot is in the background. The horizontal line one is one of the patterns in here. And the spot is in there as well. You've also got 2 labels. Let me just... Oh, another review. My birth flower, love it. Fabric panels are a great idea and sewing streets are top quality. Oh, thanks, Karen. It's a lovely review. I wonder which one that was for January, her birth flower. Oh, it was for this one. Beautiful. Also, on the bottom of the panel, you have got 2 labels. One of them says the name of the flower, January Carnation, and then another one is quilted by. So when I made up the whole quilt, and you don't have to do this, but I did. I took each of the labels, put some Bondaweb about on the back, and then stuck them underneath each flower and then sewed them on. So for the whole quilt, it looks really nice that you can then label every one of the flowers. But if you're doing it for something, yeah, you can see the labels underneath them. These pink carnations symbolise gratitude. So everyone born in January is extremely grateful. But it's a lovely gift for someone as a cushion. So you can put the January on it if you want, but the label quilted by, you could either write on this using a permanent pen like a Sharpie, or you could embroider on it, and then you could use that, well, you could use it for this or for other things. So it's a nice gift for somebody. The reason that the border strips are on here, well, you can use them for anything, but if you want to make your cushion bigger, you can do that. You can also use these for the cushion back. You can cut them up, join them. They're brilliant for patchwork. You can make half square triangles from them. You can put extra borders. They're great for linings because you can cut these strips up. Then you can use them as 2.5 inch strips. But the other thing you can do is cut across them as well. And then that makes a bigger piece, but you can cut across them, rejoin them the other way round. Every single panel has these complementing strips, but it gives extra value to the finished panel because you get all these extra bits. So let's do February. That's my month, by the way. And the big bundle has all of these in. So this is my month. February, violets. What does it mean, Hannah? Lovely. She doesn't know that off the top of her head. I should know that actually because it's my flower. So February violet, again, you've got the spotty background, the darker spotty, you've got the I mean, I haven't opened up the whole thing, but it is that whole width. This is in beautiful. But even it actually doesn't need to be relevant to flower of the month. We have done that and we've put the name of the flower, but you don't have to. If, for example, you like the violets, you think, right, I'd like 3 new cushions for my conservatory, or I've got a really nice green sofa and I love that colour on it. You could just buy 3 of the panels and then you've got all the cushions. So you don't have to buy them because they're flower of the month. That's why the label, the February violet label, we've printed separately rather than putting it onto the panel itself. Oh, the violet flower is thought to symbolise innocence. Oh, that modesty and true everlasting love. That's me, innocent and modest. You could, yeah, actually, you know, you could just make it up, couldn't you? Yeah, if you Google enough, you can find. I do that when I'm looking for the weather report. If the weather report isn't what I want it to be, the forecast, I just keep looking for the one that I do want. Somewhere it says it'll be sunny. So that's February, beautiful tones of violet. Let me fold that one up. March. March is the daffodil. Loads of these have gone on pre-order. That's lovely. I went to buy some daffodils the other week from the florist, and so have you got any? They said, "Oh, the daffodils are now out of season." But really, how did I miss them? I'm going to have to try harder next year. Anyway, this is obviously that would be because it was April when I asked. These are March, but aren't they sunny and gorgeous? So you know, maybe you want a set of daffodil cushions, or do you know these would be brilliant for outdoor furniture if you want to brighten up your outdoor. And you imagine you could make a really big, you know, if you want one of those really big squishy cushions that you use in the garden or you use almost as a floor cushion, if you use the strips around the edge and you just keep adding them round, you could end up with like a 24-inch cushion. That's the beauty of those strips. Or you just use these, keep the strips for later because you can use them for lots of things. So there's March, daffodil. May, April even. April is the sweet pea. I love sweet peas. They smell amazing. So these are in a lovely sort of pale blue, but a mauvey side end of blue. So the complementing strips are in shades of pinky bluey colours. Again, you've got the name April Sweet Pea. That's a beautiful one, $9.99. This one symbolises pleasure, delight and beauty. Hannah's reading this out to me. In many cultures, it is used as a parting gift for friends and family. And good luck and goodbye charms. So if you know someone who's moving, you need to make them a sweet pea cushion. They make also, they're a nice size. They make a good tote bag as well, because nice squares. So put that one, use the complementing slips on the back, strips, not slips, on the back, and then you've got a tote bag. And there's enough there to use for the handles as well. Yeah, you could just fill it with wine. Nice leaving present. A leaving tote. Is that a thing? A leaving tote. Yeah, and it's really good, isn't it? Because you can put the present in there. No of that wasting wrapping paper. A leaving tote. Now, we definitely started with May because this was the first one, wasn't it? So this is the first one. Right, so the photo on the website, because we then changed the format of it, doesn't show the strips, but it does have the strips. So I like this one because all of the complementing fabric strips are grey, and they just show up so well because obviously Lily of the Valley is shades of white and moving into the pale greys, but doesn't the green stand out really well? That's a beautiful panel with all... And I like the way that the stems have all sort of, they look like a bit like a plique where they've got lots and lots of different prints. You've got some spotty prints and some grid prints. And then each of these petals features 5 different prints, from a grid to a spot to darker spots. And those are all echoed in the strips here. Again, you get the label May, Lily of the Valley and Quilted By. The Lily of the Valley means a lot of very pure things. So you're very pure if you're born in May. And there was quite a few meanings. I told you, you can just like the weather. You can just choose your own. June, rose. This is a very peachy rose as well. So that's lovely, isn't it? I like the fact that the leaves, they're not your sort of traditional like bright green. They blend beautifully with this. So the leaves in it are sort of a much deeper, earthier green because it makes the peach of the roses really stand out. And if you look at it really closely, you can see how the effect has been created to create the sort of the depth and the definition in them. So at a distance, you can see it looks like a whole-shaped rose. But when you get close, all the different depths of prints that are then repeated in the complementary strips, keep saying slips, are on this side as well. But this is more of a peachy rose. Oh, so no, there's different coloured roses have different meanings. So this is the peachy rose. Yeah, this is more, it's a bit more gentle than your bright pink one, isn't it? Nice gift. Nice gift. Google says pink roses represent an innocent romantic love and make a good choice for a teen romance. Really? What are you looking at on Google? Are you looking on teenagersrus.com? Very strange. Right, July. Moving on from the teen romance rose. This is the best month according to Hannah. Is it your birthday in July, Hannah, by any chance? 8th of July. Oh, Hannah's going to be 30 this year. Imagine being that old. God, I'm glad I'm not that old. You're going to be 30. 8th of July. All chocolate presents gratefully received. Anything really. 8th of July, 30. God, can you imagine being 30? Oh, that's it now. Once you're 30, Hannah, it's all downhill after that. Your best year. God, I wish I was 30. Quite liked being 30, actually. So this is July Delphinium. This is lovely. I like the strips on this one because you've got that really sort of deep purple spot. And you've got little buds. This is a really pretty one, isn't it? What does this mean then, Hannah? Nearly 30? Means cheerfulness. The delphinium is cheerful. There's nice colours though on that one. What I like about the quilt is that although obviously each of these flowers has been created so it's the right colour for the flower, not made up colours, the whole quilt blends together. I mean, I guess that's because if you planted all sorts of flowers in your garden, they'd always go together because they're floral. But the colours that have been chosen, particularly in the spotty borders and the complementary strips, they all coordinate well together. So even if you didn't want to make the quilt, but maybe you wanted to buy 4 of them because you wanted 4 different cushions, then they would all go together because the colours all blend really well. So if you thought, right, well, I want a poppy, a rose, a violet and a delphinium, the colours would all go together. August is the poppy. But I love this because it could have been done in really bright, vibrant reds, but then it wouldn't have blended with everything else. So it's done in softer reds and pinks. And this is lovely because this is the only way that you get to have a poppy without the petals falling off. Because you know when you pick them, you shouldn't pick them anyway, but if you ever do pick them, all the petals fall off. But it's lovely because it is slightly softer, so it does blend with the other colours, which makes them all go together well. I like the strips you get. Let me just move that over. It's a really nice big spot, that one. It's beautiful. I like poppies. I always think of poppies in the field in August. Right, now the other half, not the other few are underneath. Hannah and I were trying to sort these out before we came on air, which we had a bit of a break. And we got really confused because they were all in little bags and we had to open them and work out what they were. And oh, it was just, took us ages. September is the aster. Lovely shades of mauve in that one, the nice bright yellow centres. And it's lovely because even the greens that have been used, there are maybe 3 or 4 different greens in the whole quilt, so they all go together. So the green of the leaves in the aster are the same as the green in the sweet pea, so they go together really nicely. These are named after stars. It's the Greek word for star. I know that. Because the flowers are star-shaped. It's a nice girl's name, Aster, isn't it? It comes from Greek mythology, but it's a very nice girl's name. And they symbolise love because they're stars. But it is a very nice girl's name. So if there's any Asters watching, you've got a lovely name. Right, October is the marigold. Not gloves, not the gloves. But again, the marigold is a really bright orange flower. And this is nice and bright, but it's not, it doesn't stand out. In the quilt, it doesn't stand out more than the others. It has sort of been muted slightly so that it all joins together. But if you look, when you look at it from where you can see on the screen from a distance, you can sort of see the 3D effect of it. So it looks like the petals in the front are standing out amongst the petals at the back. But actually, when you get very close up, it is done purely by depth of print. And so the lighter petals have got larger spots on, and the darker petals have got smaller spots on. And then that creates real detail. And then those prints are then echoed in the strips. Beautiful. But if you are, one thing you can do if you're going to quilt these is actually using a matching thread as well, because you don't really want the quilting to stand up, is quilt along some of the petal lines. That will make them stand out even more. So if you stand back and have a look and see which of the petals that are in the foreground, the lighter ones, if you quilt around that, it gives it even more. Or even if you just quilt around the centre section, then that gives that more depth and definition, and then you can embroider on top of it as well. So there's so much you can do with this. That's the great thing. And this is the starting point for your creative journey. That means happiness and joy. Right, November. Chrysanthemums. I don't really like chrysanthemums, actually. Does anybody like chrysanthemums? I know this is a beautiful flower, but I always think of them as garage flowers. Of all the flowers, not my favourite, but actually I think that's quite a nice chrysanthemum. I mean, if you're born in November, that is your flower of the month. It's not my favourite flower. It symbols loyalty and devoted love, but that is the flower of November. It's very pretty though, isn't it? I think it's prettier in here than in reality. Do you know what? I think it's the fact that they last for such a long time, don't they? I think I'm a bit bored now. Maybe they're very, very good value for money. Yeah, this one, actually, I think this is quite a fancy chrysanthemum because you get smaller ones, don't you? This is sort of a bigger, bolder one. And it's quite pretty, isn't it? Because November can be a bit dark and miserable, so it's quite pretty to have a nice bright pink chrysanthemum. And the strips, oh yeah, I've folded that before you could see. The strips, oh, this lovely pink colour. Nice sort of soft blush pink. Then we've got December. Guess what this is? Poinsettia, had to be. The classics, a bit like robins and poinsettias, only come out in December. But these are ideal, aren't they, for Christmas gifts? They do. I mean, you always get your poinsettia from the supermarket and wonder how long it's going to live. I think the problem is that you bring them inside at Christmas and all the heating's on, or you've got the fire going. I often put mine by the fireplace and all its leaves just drop off, strangely enough. So I think you have to look after them. I don't even know whether, do they live from one year to the next, or do they just die and then that's it? I don't know whether they're supposed to carry on. But this is a fantastic gift for Christmas, isn't it? Or, say you want some Christmas cushions, quite nice to have, you know, you have to bring out your Christmas decorations, you hang things on the tree, off the doors, from the ceilings. Very nice to have Christmas cushions. So you could buy a set of these. If you bought them now as well, you could give everyone a Christmas cushion. And because you've got the other strips, you could make a bag. We've made loads and loads of different things from these panels. Cushions, bags, table runners, all sorts of things. But this, because you've got these strips as well, you could use this as a table runner. That could be your centerpiece, and then you could have the strips either side of it. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Buy several of them, buy 6 of them, placemats, all ready for Christmas. Napkins, and remember, you can cut these strips out individually to border things, or you can cut them that way, quick patchwork, because these are 2.5 inches wide. If you cut the strips 2.5 inches that side, then you can join them all together. But that is the poinsettia for December. Again, not in the super bright red, but the softer shade of red, so that it goes together with the rest of the quilt. But none of them are the same. So although the poppy, which was August, is red, it's a different red to the poinsettia, just to give a point of difference. Let me just show you how it is. It's slightly different. Okay, so those are all of those. So now if you've already bought all of the squares, or some of the squares, and you're just topping up the ones that you missed, so you didn't want to buy the whole kit with all 12 squares, the border panel instructions, you just want to buy some squares and the border panel instructions, we do that as well. So if you want just the border panel, I'm going to open it out for you. So, really? So $9.99, you get the instructions to make the quilt and the border panel. I'm going to open it up and show you. Yeah, I mean, it is specifically designed for this quilt. So you say it's not really useful for anything but this. I mean, I guess it is if you were making a quilt with 12-inch squares, but really it has been designed specifically for this. So every single piece is labelled, horizontal sashing, border corner squares, internal corner squares, and it works because I wrote the instructions for it, and I have made it since, so I know it works now. It does look really odd because it's not. They're not really. I think they're not showing up very well on this desk because I've got other panels coming through it. But you've got. If you look at the big quilt, you will on the wall. You will see how all the different ones show up. Some of the prints are very pale, but that's because the sashing, the vertical and the horizontal sashing that goes between the border squares, we wanted to really make them stand out. So they're like, but they've all got this. Now we've been through all of them, you've seen in all the complementing strips that there's this little spot. Some are big, some are small, and those are all echoed in here. But everything you need is on this panel. So if you've already got all the squares, or you've topped up and got the ones you haven't replaced and you just want the border panel with the instructions to make the whole quilt, you can buy that here for $9.99. So that's just the borders and that doesn't include the 12 flower of the months. That's just the borders and the binding and the instruction panel. So final recap of the big bundle. If you want the 12 flowers, January to December, one of each, remember each one has the 12-inch block with the flower and the 5 complementing strips, which are 2.5 by 43 inches each. 12 of those and the instructions and the borders and binding panel. You can buy that here today now for $129.87, or if you want to spread the cost, you can do it on split pay, £64.93 today, £64.93 in a month's time, no interest charged at all, but you will have it all sent to you straight away so you can make the whole quilt. Right, I'm going to move desks. I'm going to move desk. Move desk. Over to this desk. Ta-da! So, you can see now on screen the big quilts hanging up, how it has all been made and put together using the borders and binding panel and all 12 of the flowers of the month. There it is behind me. Well, it's not behind me. There it is on the screen. So I'm going to just talk you through how I made this. So, because we never really show these final stages, so let me show you how this is made. Now I have joined together, this will just help when you create it. I have joined them all together. So on the panel, 1 minute, I'm just going to get my panel, just disappearing, but I'm back now. Right, sorry. So when I showed you this earlier, maybe it's easier to see it on the desk. You can see from here that that there's this pale, spotty, horizontal and vertical sashing strips are here. Now, they show up better than when I showed you on the main borders and binding panel. You couldn't really see how they, the print on them, but it makes these stand out. So all you have to do to start with is you cut out each of the 12 squares. You just cut round the very outer edge of each square because they're 12 inches on there. So when they're joined together, it'll be 11.5. You join all of these together. Now, if you can see, there are internal squares. Now, sometimes when some people create quilts and they do sashing and binding, they have all the strips going one way and then the strips going the other way. But I think it's quite nice to break them up with these little squares. You can embroider little motifs and things, or initials or dates, or if you were making this for somebody for a celebration, for a special year, maybe it was an anniversary, and you were making it to celebrate that year because it's got all the months. You can put like a little word or a phrase or saying, you know, because this is all about the language of flowers, you could put all the different languages that you used on it, or a date. So what you do to start with is you join each of the squares together with one of the sashing strips between each one, and then you create the rows. Then you make the horizontal sashing by joining the little squares onto each one. Now you can join them together when you get the instructions, you can join them together in the order that I've done here, but on the panel it doesn't tell you what order. That's up to you if you want to put the pink one and then the blue one and then the pale pink and the yellow, but you can do them in whatever order. I just think it's sometimes, for some quilts it's nice to keep the sashing just all plain so it looks like one piece, but I think for a pretty quilt like this it's nice to have these little squares. Then the next thing you need to do is join the horizontal sashing. I think that's which way I did it. Oh no, I didn't. I had to put the vertical first and then the horizontal. Okay, so you first of all you join the vertical on. Now remember, let me show you the panel. So before you start doing anything, and you cut all of these out, you can do that using scissors or a rotary cutter. It really doesn't matter. If you look on, it's on this side. If you look on each piece, there is a label. So this one here, vertical borders. So when you cut these strips out, just cut the little label out and pin it on, just to help you remember. I mean, I know, you've got the picture, so you'll be able to see what colour goes where, but it just helps when you're doing it that you don't have to then refer back. So cut out everything first and label it, particularly for things like the binding strips, because these are a different width and length to everything else, and you don't want to accidentally use them for your internal sashing because that'll mess up your whole thing. So do label everything first. When then you attach, you know how you forget what order you've done something, you get the vertical sashing strips, they go first. There's one. Now these have been created so they are exactly the right length. So all you have to do is pin them to here, because I've made this in advance. So when I pin something, if you're pinning along, actually this is what Delphine was talking about with her triangles being on top. When you pin something on, although I've laid it there so you can see it, always do it on the side where the seams are. Now obviously sometimes when you sew things together you've got seams on both sides, so the best thing to do is sew it on the side with the most seams. Luckily with this one it's only got seams on one side. Now the reason you do that is when you sew across, obviously these, because I've pressed these seams open just because I wanted them to lie really flat, and I'm not matching seams, so I'm not needing to do any butting up or nesting. If you had these seams underneath, they would easily push over and then you'll have twisted ones. By having them on top, it keeps them flat. Now the other thing that you need to do, when you've got a really long strip like this, to make sure it's even, because obviously fabric does stretch, is fold it in half and mark it either with a permanent marker, not a permanent marker, either with an erasable marker like a friction pen or with a pin. This one's got a mark on it because I ironed it. Then take the side that you are going to be sewing that to and fold it in half and mark that either with a pen or a pin. Okay, now because we're going to put this on top of there, pin the centres together. It's only because although this is the right size, it's much easier to get it to be even because fabric stretches if you do it this way. And you don't have to think, because these have all been printed to the size you need them, you haven't now got to think about cutting anything and working out dimensions or measurements, because we worked all of that out in advance so that it was right. I'm just going to pin this together. Right, and then pin the other end. Always pin the ends first, because otherwise, oh, I've got a reel of thread in there. I've got a reel of thread in there. It was all getting caught up. Pin the ends first, and then because we've got, you see, it's easier then if you pull these, because obviously, because this is seamed and that isn't seamed, this will have pulled in slightly. So this quilt is ideal. If you're a beginner to quilting, this is a really good way of starting off because it's quite simple. Pull it, and then I always sort of move my fingers to get to the centre and then pin the centre bit between the two. If you haven't done this before, you could even, you know, I've split it into half and marked the half points, but you could split it into quarters because it's important that it is evenly spread, not that, because obviously because of the seams you will have to stretch it a bit to get it to fit, but you don't want to be stretching it more than over the half, because it will, if you stretch it too much in one place and not in another, it will bag, because you're only stretching it because of the seams pulling it in, not because you're actually making the fabric bigger, if you see what I mean. Right, so that's one border. So all we have to do now is get a sewing machine off the floor. Look at that. Magic. It's magic, that. Sewing machine on the floor. Turn it on. Made a funny noise, didn't it? Oh. Oh, sorry. So we just had a nice message from the Yarn Lane competition winners who have received their prizes. Hooray! Elliot and I spent quite some time on Wednesday packing them all up. We had 5 prizes. If you didn't watch, Yarn Lane last Monday was our half birthday day, and we had 5 different winners because we had so many prizes that on Wednesday Elliot and I packed them all up, which took quite some time because there was so much stuff. I wrote them a little note, so I'm so pleased that they've all arrived. I really wanted to win all of those prizes, so those of you who have won them, I'm very envious. And I hope you post on the Yarn Lane fan page what you've done with them and what you've made, because in each of the prizes there were just some where it was just materials like yarn and different things, but some were full kits. There was equipment, particularly envious of the Swift and ball winder. Which, yes, that's why in my my favourite things I will be demonstrating how to use a Swift and a ball winder. So the lady who won the Swift and the ball winder, who lives in the Orkneys, I'm not sure whether she'll have got hers yet, because that probably takes a bit longer to get up there. So don't forget, Yarn Lane today is at 12 o'clock, and it's all my favourite tools and kits and that's kits and equipment. Kits and equipment joined together is quips. And Swifts and ball winders. It's just because I wanted to win everything in the competition. They were so generous, the suppliers, though. I didn't even tell them what. I just said, "Oh, could you give us a prize?" Oh, it's some amazing things. So I'm using a 1/4 inch seam allowance here on the foot plate. If you haven't done this before, the measurements are marked on there. This is really simple. This is just sewing a straight seam. So, you know, if you're new to quilting, you think, oh, I don't really want to, haven't attempted anything this size. This is perfect for beginners because all of the pieces have already been measured for you. You just need to cut them out. All the instructions there about joining it together, this is really simple. So there is one vertical strip. There we go. Green. That's upside down, I know, but it doesn't matter. Green. You then sew the other one onto the other side. You then need to make the horizontal strips. So you make those in advance. Now the horizontal strips are blue. So I've made one in advance. So with the horizontal strips, in order to get these are called external corner squares. You join one of these to each end of the horizontal border strip, and then you get the end. So if you look at the quilt behind me, can we go on to the quilt behind me? So that's the horizontal one. So you can see, you can choose. They're all different colours, the external border squares. There's, I think, pink, purple, yellow, and dark pink. And then if you look on the quilt behind me, you can see, let me go around to where you are, there. These are those. So what you do is you join the horizontal, you join the square on each end of that, and then you join it on afterwards. It just gives you a little edge. I mean, quite often with quilts, that doesn't happen. You'll have just one horizontal, but I think the squares give it a bit of extra. So remember, all of these, you haven't got to think about these sizes. So again, this is really quick make. I made the whole quilt in an afternoon, and that was only because I was trying to work out measurements as well. So all you do is pin one external border square either end of the horizontal borders, like so, and sew it on. 1/4 inch seam allowance again. This is a really, really easy way of making quite a stunning quilt. And I think, you know, I think for beginners this is perfect because everything is worked out for you and you make something really beautiful and completely unique. To have a quilt, you know, made from all these beautifully hand illustrated and then prints that have been turned into digital versions. And then a very easy way to do it is perfect. It's a really good way of learning when you're creating other quilts. But, you know, if you're more experienced quilter and you just want to make something quite quickly, that's perfect. So look, there's your horizontals. So what you now need to do is, I haven't put the other vertical border strip on, but let me just show you when you join this together. The only thing that you really need to concentrate on is when you put the horizontal border strip on there. It's really important that these seams match up, because then the corner will sit right. If you get them off slightly, it will look really odd. The best, I'm going to show you very quickly how I do this, is lay that seam on top of that one, pull it back, push a pin through the seam, pull it back very slightly and make sure it's going through the seam below. And if you look there, you can see it's not. So just move it over slightly. So now the pin is going through the seam on this side and is right in there. Then you can put it together and push the pin through. Then push the pin through that top seam, go through there into the other one and push it right through. That then pulls those seams together beautifully. You can then put a horizontal pin. Remember, there's only 4 of these that it's really important you get right. Put a horizontal pin that way and then one below it and then pull those out. By doing that, then when you sew them across the 1/4 inch, this pin, you'll have to remove this pin as you sew. This pin can stay in place and that holds it, and you will then get a perfect match. So if you're new to this, you think, oh, you know, I can't match the seams. There's only 4 that you will need to do for these border squares, but it is worth spending that extra couple of minutes just getting that bit right, because it will go together better. Okay? So at the moment, the graphics that I've got are for the complete quilt. So if you want to make the complete quilt there, with the kit contains 12, one of each of the Flower of the Month, which is the Flower of the Month panel square, plus all the 5 complementary strips that you get with it, all 12 of them. The borders and binding panel, remember there's enough strips on it as well, I've got these cut here, to bind the whole quilt. So the only thing you need to buy for this quilt is the backing and the wadding. For the backing, you need 134 by 170 centimetres, so you'll need 4 metres if you're buying quilting with, and wadding 134 by 170. White is a really good choice for this because it's a very pale quilt. You don't want colours showing through. So we've also no, I'll just have to walk round. I just want to recap as well. This has been so popular today. Well, we had to redo it all because it sold out last time. Is the little panel. It's not a little panel, it's quite a big panel. But it has got 40 5-inch squares. So just like a charm pack that you would normally buy. So you've got, some of them are the flowers, and they are miniature versions, exact miniature versions of the flowers on the big quilt. And you've also got plain, well, they're not plain because they've all got texture and print, whether it's spots or squares, and they're all in the colours that you get in the flowers and in the complementary strips. That's half of it, and that's the other half. So all of the flowers are there. So if you've bought somebody the Flower of the Month, you want to make them a cushion, if you buy this as well, you can then make some extra little pieces to go with it. So if we look at the whole one, I think you have 2 of each of the flowers. Without counting them all, I'm pretty sure that there are 2 of each of the flowers. So you can make a matching thing. And how often does that ever happen, that you can buy a panel and then you can get the miniature version as well? So you can make some really lovely, you could use one of them to make a card. We have sold so many of these panels today, and I'm not surprised because they are gorgeous and they are exclusive. Over 200 of people have bought this today. Well, 200 have sold. There are several of you who've multiplied, but these are totally exclusive to Sewing Street, designed by us at Sewing Street, and this is the only place where you can buy these. Amazing. So, Delphine, thank you for watching me with the flower of the month. It's been a pleasure to show it again. We have got Delphine coming on with us in a couple of minutes with her brand new hair design. We've got 2 cushions. She's waiting to come on now, so we just don't go anywhere. A couple of minutes and I'll be back with Hare and Fighting Hare's cushions. I'll see you back here in a couple of minutes. Are you a fan of Sewing Street and Yarn Lane? Why not join our growing Facebook fans pages? Just search Sewing Street Fans and Yarn Lane TV Fans on Facebook and click Join Group. It's that simple. Never miss out on the latest news and updates from our presenters and guest designers, special offers and plenty of chat with your fellow fans. Share photos of your makes, ask for advice, interact with your favourite guests and presenters and be a part of the ever-growing sewing and yarn community. See you there!
In need of a crafting fix? There are so many ways you can watch Sewing Street and Yarn Lane. Sewing Street is live from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. every day on Freeview 72 and Sky 670. Alternatively, if you want to watch us on a tablet or on the move, you can tune in on our YouTube channel, the Sewing Street app, or the websites at www.sewingstreet.com and www.yarnlane.com. You can watch past shows on Sky 670 from 1 p.m. every day, as well as our YouTube channel, the app, and our website. Yarn Lane is on from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Visit our programme guide to find out when and what's on. So you never have to spend a minute without us.
Hi there, my name's Alison Marion and I'm thrilled to be joining the Sewing Street family. I live in Staffordshire where I run a couple of sewing groups and I have a passion for vintage sewing machines and also applique. I've stitched in some form for as long as I can remember, but I absolutely love teaching and helping people stretch their skills and hopefully demystifying some of the techniques that can be quite daunting for beginners. So I'm looking forward to meeting the team and getting into the studio. See you soon.
Have you heard about all of the different ways you can shop with Sewing Street and Yarn Lane? You can either shop on our websites, sewingstreet.com and yarnlane.com. You can also order by phone by calling our friendly UK customer service team. For Sewing Street, call 0800 001 4433 and for Yarn Lane, call 0800 4700 600. And don't forget about the Sewing Street app. Here you can shop all of the Sewing Street products as well as watch the live shows from anywhere. You can download the app onto your smartphone or your tablet by simply searching Sewing Street in your app store. And one final thing, no matter how many times you check out on Sewing Street or Yarn Lane in one day, you will only pay 1 postage and packaging. Happy shopping!
And welcome back to Sewing Street for the Delphine Hair Hour. Sounds a bit odd, doesn't it? Delphine Hair Hour. Delphine will be talking to you about how she does her hair care in this hour. No, nothing to do with Delphine's hair. This is Delphine's hairs. So we've got 2 beautiful designs, exclusively by Delphine for us. Oh, you've got the other cushion up there. I'm going to just pinch that one. We can show a picture, but I'm going to show the real thing, because it's lovely to see it in reality and not just a picture. I'm back. So the first one, there's good news and there's bad news. The good news is that this is beautiful and this is the blue hair. But the bad news is the blue version has sold out on pre-order. You've all bought it before Delphine even got on air. But everyone has already checked out. I'm just going to show what you get in the kit to make this. You get the full instructions. This is important for in a minute. You get the plain blue fabric, 1/2 metre of navy, and 4 fat quarters of this beautiful fabric that we showed you at 8 o'clock. Isn't it lovely? Anyway, the blue is sold out, but fear not, because we've got it in green and we still have stock. We can't show you the finished cushion in green, but don't worry, because Delphine is going to be demonstrating the cushion in green, so you'll be able to see what it looks like. So in the green kit, you get 1/2 metre of the dark. What's the dark brown? Parts of it.
Yeah, it's for the back.
Oh, it's for the back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had extra.
Oh, she cheated, she had extra. And then you get 4 fat quarters that are used for, that's for the hair, I'm guessing now, that's for the hair.
Yeah.
And then these 3 colours are for the sky.
Yeah, blues for the sky.
Blues for the
trees,
sky.
and the other one for little extra
Trees and
bits.
mushrooms.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what you get. You get the instructions. Now we have to have a little admission here, is Delphine's husband can't spell. So he was in charge of sending these to print, and he can't spell, obviously. But his excuse, what's his excuse?
He said he's an engineer, not an English teacher.
Oh, okay.
So don't at me.
Yeah, so don't say it's not Delphine's fault.
I'm blaming my husband.
I think it's quite funny,
Yeah.
the Harry Hare.
It's because I picked him up and I wrote the second lot of instructions, and I said, Nick, you've spelt it wrong. And he went, well, that's already gone to print. So I was,
Oh, no, because it says it right here.
yeah. The bits that I wrote
Oh.
were right.
Was it one job?
Yeah, I'm sacking him.
One job, I would. Sack him, dock his pay.
I will do.
He only had one job. So you get the full instructions, which obviously, if you've ever done, let me move this cushion. If you've done Delphine's designs before, you will know how amazingly comprehensive they are. So you've got all of the pictures, and she always puts loads and loads of pictures on them, so there's no way you can ever go wrong. All the pictures, all the information, everything you need to make it, including the templates, the most important bits. This is what you're paying for. And remember, and then for this one you get 1/2 metre of green and 4 fat quarters, and that's enough to make one cushion. And the instructions to make the green version, which Delphine's going to demonstrate, so you'll be able to see how it all works together. Now, we have also got the instructions on their own. They're on screen at the moment. So if you want to make Harry Hare Moonlight and you want to use your own fabrics, or maybe you bought some of this fabric in the first hour, because we were selling it all, because all the mega bundles were, so if you bought the mega bundle in the first hour, then the instructions is those are the fabrics used. Or if you've got your own fabrics, if you want them on their own, £9.99, everything you need to know. And the best thing about it are all the templates and the placement guides. This is where the skill and the artistic ability and everything comes in. It's that second bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Amazing. Because it's the only way you can do it. So you can either buy the kit for the green, or you can buy the instructions on their own for Harry Hare in the Moonlight. Right, we've got another kit, because remember I told you the 2, called the Fighting Hares. There's only one option for this one. Let me show you the cushion so you can see how lovely it is. Let me hold him up. Look! I was just showing the picture. I want to show me. There's me hugging it. Oh, it's so nice. It looks so much better in real because I'm holding it. Look, there it is, real life thing. Fighting Hares. Love this colour because I said to you, if you were watching earlier on, about how all these fabrics were the ones that we were using. Aren't they gorgeous? So, very limited on the bundle. Now, the bundle includes, let me move the cushion, the half a metre of black, which for the hares, and 4 fat quarters. So you've got the plum, I've got to remember the colours of these now, purple, charcoal, and, ooh, what was that one called? Should remember that, because I remember saying that that should be called something else. That's a plain neutral colour. So they're all from the Dan Morris collection. We don't have many of those left, so if you've got them in the basket, you really need to check out. Or if you want one, you need to quickly put it in your basket and check out. These are the instructions that come with them. Your instructions will be the glossy normal version. This is just my photocopied version, but you will get a proper glossy version. we also do instructions on their own. So if you've got your own fabrics or you've already bought the mega bundle of the other fabrics, then you do have the instructions on their own. So as usual with Delphine, we've got all of the walkthroughs. And then you've got all the templates, everything you need, and the placement guides. Now remember, if you've already checked out on the fabric maybe that you bought in the first down, you want the instructions for this, or you've already bought one of the hares earlier on, you want the instructions, it is only 1 P&P per day. It's £3.95, you pay it once, and then it doesn't matter, whatever you buy between now and midnight, it will still only be £3.95. So you can check out as many times as you'd like. But also remember, if you put something in your basket, it's not yours until you've checked out. But you can check out lots and lots of times. So there we go. So those are the options. Bundles, instructions on their own. It's all on the website. Click on www.sewingstreet.com. Click on Watch Live and then scroll down and you will see underneath all of the products. So, Delphine.
Hello.
What lovely, lovely things. Oh, sorry, Bondaweb, one moment.
Oh, you need that.
One moment. We never have this in stock because it keeps selling out. This is fantastic. You will need Bondaweb for this. We often have the packets of Bondaweb, but this Bondaweb is available in a roll and it's marvellous. It's 30 centimetres wide, but it's 5 metres long. I always have one of these. I've always got a roll of Bondaweb.
Yeah, I even keep all the off bits as well.
I do. I have a plastic bag like that with all the little bits
with all the
in.
other bits in, because it's like gold dust, isn't it?
It is,
So
isn't
don't
it?
throw any away.
And I've used lots of different brands of, because it's not Fusible Web is the name, isn't it? Bondaweb is the.
Yeah, because if you
is the
buy
brand
it
name.
off the internet and you think you're going to be buying that, it's not. It comes as an interface in.
And
so
it's different, isn't it?
It is different.
So
yeah.
this is fantastic. It's actually Vlisafix. So it's Vlisoline's version. But it's called Vlisafix. But it is a fusible web and you need that for applique. I always have it. I mean, I was saying earlier, even if it's just to stiffen something,
Yeah,
even if you're
it's
not
really
using it as a
handy.
body web, it's wonderful
Yeah.
stuff. So we have got it by the 5 metre roll. Okay.
So the only way I'd get by it is in the 5 metre.
Yeah,
roll.
you need it. Always
Especially
need
if
a
you do
roll of
any
it.
of my projects, you know that you need
You're
more
gonna
than
need
just
it.
a packet. So talking about Bondaweb then. So
Tell me what made you design this first.
design it. It was somebody's actually requested one,
Oh, was it?
and I thought, okay, fine, leave it with me. I'll
Okay.
do it.
Someone
yeah.
said hares.
Yeah.
Was that
so-
it?
Yeah, like not like a cartoony type hair, something a bit more mystical and.
Okay. So if you're new to Sewing Street and you haven't met Delphine before, she is the most talented artist, fabric designer,
Bless her. You're so
sewer, not sewer,
no.
sewer, stitcher. And all of these designs are drawn and designed by her. So people give her random ideas,
And
like fox.
yeah, so I'll just
And
send
then
you
she
ideas.
comes up with these amazing things. But the beauty of it is, and if you look at the Sewing Street fan page, you will see this. So many people have bought her designs and so many people have done them, but they're always really good. So obviously it works. So you
That's
don't
it.
need to be able to draw to do these.
No, I've always said that, and I think a lot of people are a bit worried. You know, again on the fan page, people say, "Oh, I've never done a plique before." As long as you can trace,
Yeah.
sort of sew a bit, you can do it.
Well, because sometimes you
know.
have these artistic designs, and when you get the instructions, you have to sort of do it yourself, and you think, oh, no chance.
Yeah, it's like it's just someone giving you a load of ingredients and going make a cake.
I know.
Whereas,
But because all the templates are here, your design will look like this.
yes, they will, 100%.
And if you look at the Sewing Street fan page, you will see that. So many people have made your designs and put them on jackets. I saw somebody, was it the other day they had, can't remember which one, was it the tiger?
I think it's
on a
the
denim
tiger, a Highland cow's been on a jacket.
Highland cow on a denim
And,
jacket.
one of the Tash of the Tiger was put on a board, for like a print, like a piece of art as well.
Okay.
So you can use them in so many other
Yeah,
ways.
you don't have to make a cushion from this.
No, it's just a good size for the ideas.
Yes.
So, but you can put them on lots of other things as well.
Right, okay, that's the inspiration.
There we
So
are.
it was just a request and then you just went hares.
Yeah, and then obviously I also am inspired by fabrics as well, and I think with all the swirls and everything in these
okay.
fabrics, that jumps out at me as
It
well.
is very moonlight, isn't it?
It is, and especially whenever I get sent any fabrics, I always read up about them as well to find out what they're actually, what's inspired the actual fabric designer to come up with that certain print. So I always try and look into the background of it and not just try and make the fabric work for the project. I mix it up on different, sorry.
You just
lost my words.
Hannah's putting you off, making faces at you.
So yeah, I can't completely sack Nick. Completely.
Not yet, because he does a lot.
He does all my CAD. So I give him the ideas and the drawings, and Nick, bless him, he does work really, really hard and puts all the on top of working full time and looking after the boys. So I am really lucky. So I'm not.
We'll let him off one spelling.
So
mistake.
we'll let him off the Hare. So we know we've spelt it wrong, but you know it's.
We'll live.
Yeah, it's one of those
bigger things to worry about.
Exactly. So right, so you have got all of your the templates at the background. So the one I'm making, for example, so you know the tree around the edge of this one here. So
that one.
Yeah.
You can pick it up.
So it's quite a big tree, and if I used one big piece of Bondaweb to cut all that out, you're going to have a lot of waste, and it's a lot of faff to cut all this big tree out. So we've actually done it so it's a lot easier for you to trace over it and to cut it out, and you're going to have less waste of your Bondaweb. He's very simply, all he's done is, for example, this section B. So he's lettered them each one. And then there's another one here at the bottom, and the other two are here. So they've got the join marks of A, and so you know that the two A's meet, the two B's meet, the two C's meet. The seam allouts are included, but you don't necessarily need to sew them together as long as you overlap them, because you'll sew it down when you go around them.
Right.
So I've also added in, because as you can see, there's quite a lot of hand embroidery as well. You can do it on a machine if you want to, but in the light grey on the templates, you can't see it very well on here, but I have actually added in the diagrams and placement guides of where you're going to add your embroidery as well. So it's all there. And even all where you put your French knots and everything as well. That's all on there. Okay, so when you come to trace over your pattern pieces using the Bondaweb, as I say in the instructions, if you draw on the glue side, which is the rough side, when you cut it all out, it's going to be in the correct placement. But if you draw on the smooth side, trace over on the smooth side, the pattern's going to be in reverse.
Right, okay.
So I'm just going to trace over a few mushrooms. So
so this is the right way up. So you must trace on the bumpy side.
So trace on the bumpy side. I find it easier to do this rather than you trying to work out where it goes.
Otherwise you'd have twice as many. You'd have to have templates and placement.
That's right, and it's just, I mean, I have added a placement guide as well, but I just find it this way. It doesn't matter if drawing on this side, just as long as you're using a fairly new piece of Bondaweb. If you're using an old piece, you know, one that you've had in your stash for a while,
they separate.
They may separate. So all I'm doing is I've drawn over the mushrooms individually, making them fit my piece of scrap Bondaweb because I don't like wasting. There we are.
But if you get the roll, you'll have 5 metres of it. But I am very tight with mine as well. I'm the same. I think because it's not like fabric, it's not directional. So you can trace in all ways, can't you, to get the most use out of it.
And I patch it as well, you know. I'm glad it's not just me.
But I love Bondaweb. Love the stuff.
It's a really good invention.
It's just really good for loads of things. Even when I do things like machine embroidery, whereas some people just put the fabric on and then embroider, I stick mine down first.
Stick it down.
Because otherwise it shifts. Or if I'm sewing a label on something, I'll stick it on with Bondaweb first.
Yeah, I do. I still do that. It's just it just makes your life easier, doesn't it? You know, life's difficult enough as it is.
Has the roll sold out? The kit for the fighting hare has sold out. But the instructions only are still available. But the whole fighting hare kit has sold out. As has the blue moonlight one. Have we got any greens left? I think Hannah's eating. Are you eating donuts, Hannah? I asked her. She just went. She's eating donuts.
I could just eat donut. I'm starving.
Quite like a donut.
So I just ironed it onto the reverse of the fabric, and as you can see, I'm just cutting it out.
So paper side up, wrong side of the fabric.
Yeah, and then I'm just going to...
So there are a few, the kit that the Delphine is making at the moment is the green Moonlight, and there are a few of those left.
There we go, just quickly cutting
But
that out.
there are still instructions only available. And I'm sure we must have some of the fabrics that she's got in the kits are the ones that we sold in the first hour by the half metre. So we will we'll show those to you in a minute. So if you want to buy the fabric separately, or maybe you've got some of your own fabrics but you'd like to buy a few of these because the swirl print is beautiful, we'll go back through and show you which colour is which.
And you can choose their own colourway then, can't they?
Yeah, make your own colourway.
So there's all my little mushroom bits. I'm just going to put that to one side. So you'll cut your top piece. I always make my cushions 2 inches smaller than the cushion pad because I like them to be nice and plump. So you can just adjust your...
Yeah, no, it's useful. It's something that people often ask is how much smaller or bigger should it be?
Yeah.
So you say 2 inches, so 1 inch all round. Then.
Yeah, that's it. It's only
Okay.
because I like them to be quite firm. So you'll cut your main piece to about an 18-inch square. So
Oh, and that's
like
a
your
blue. Oh,
backing
you've got a
piece.
blue one in that one.
So that's in the blue.
Okay.
Let's cut that on. It looks lovely, doesn't it?
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
It's
I
lovely
love
as it
this
is.
fabric.
And then you'll cut out all of your other pieces. Now, you will just need one tiny, tiny piece of black. I'm talking that big, just for the inside of the eye.
Right.
Or
I think you can,
if you're very sneaky, you can actually use one of the petals within the
okay.
within the.
But I think most people will have a very small piece of black in their stash. Or you could just embroider it on after.
That's it. Yeah. And we'll be doing a bit of embroidery today. Okay, so imagine I've already stuck mine on. I've just put mine on a bit of fusible H640, but on those I use the 80-20.
So you put the wadding on first, so you'll kind of quilt as you go.
Quilt as you go, yeah.
that.
And it makes you just, what am I taking that out for? Not that one. I don't need that bag, I need this bag.
How much do you need if you bought half a metre of the 80-20 wadding? Would that be enough?
Yeah, that would be, yeah, because it's just an 18-inch square, although I do tend to go a little bit bigger all the way around, about 2 inches all the way around, just because it can shift around when it's sewing.
But half a metre would still be
Yeah.
fine.
So I'm going all the long way around, getting to the answer today. Oh dear. Right, so the backs of your tree, obviously remember they were labelled A, B, C, D, I think. So you can just write it on the back so you know which one it is. If you struggle to get the Bondo web off, just scratch it off with a pin. And as I say in the instructions, always make sure that you're happy with the placement of your pieces before you iron it into place.
But you can find, but you've got the whole placement thing, so it's fab, isn't it?
So ignore those swirls for now. I was just getting ahead of myself when I was out there watching the flower of the.
Yeah, you're on bird, not birds. Birds is another time.
That's another one. Yeah.
I know. I'm on birds now.
There we go. And it's not too fiddly. Again, you know, there's not lots of tiny little pieces, not really in this one. So it's really good at brand new, you know, for a first time as a plique project, because there's not lots of pieces. So you haven't got to tuck them under lots of other.
No, but
pattern
all of
pieces.
this is just cut, trace, and cut out, isn't it? You haven't even got to think about it. Because you get some books that are really sort of inspirational, and you have to sort of like use the picture, and you think, oh, I can't do that. You know, this is for people like me, who can't draw.
And then, like I said, try and keep the backing on right until the very end before you put it down. There we go.
We're very limited on this green colourway now.
I love the green. The green's my favourite. Although green's my favourite colour. So
I love green.
it's a very calming colour, isn't it?
I just think it suits most people. It just looks lovely, doesn't it? I think yellow's my favourite colour, though.
Is it?
But I have got a yellow car.
Well, you have got a yellow car.
A yellow car, yeah. And a yellow coat and a yellow bag.
It's a happy colour,
It
yellow,
is.
isn't it?
And in my car, I have yellow sunglasses and yellow gloves.
Have you?
Well, so because you need sunglasses in your car, don't you?
Oh yeah, I can't drive without my sunglasses on. I can't go outside
Yeah.
in summer.
So I've got yellow ones. And then in the winter, I need gloves in my car because we've got cold hands. So they're yellow as well.
Have you got a yellow fluffy dice as well?
And I have yellow fluffy dice as well.
There we go.
I love fluffy dice.
There's my tree. I really like it in this green.
Well, is it the same blue?
It's slightly darker.
Oh, it's slightly darker than
Yeah.
the blue in the blue one.
Um,
The green looks amazing.
so I've used the light green.
Well, the great
moon.
thing about this fabric is because it changes colour, that you can use different sections, can't you?
Exactly that, and you know, you can go against what you think is nature. You could do the, you know, I've done the white tree there, but if you wanted to, you could have the white background and then have a purple tree.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So here's my bunny. So I did do the bunny's leg in the same colour. That's not a bunny, sorry, hare. Well, there we are. Just looking up there.
Howling at the moon. Do you think hers howl?
I
Or
bet
do they just look nicely?
they just look pretty. It's like looking up at the harvest moon. There we are, put the leg. The leg just sits slightly below its body piece.
Oh, yes,
by
as shown
about
on the
half an
placement
inch, but it
guide.
is on the placement guide, yeah.
It's great this. I'm just following the instructions as we go along.
Oh, there's my little black piece, I don't want to lose that. And now let's get its eye out. So it comes together really, really quick, this one. There we are. Elliot loves it when I come and do a plique.
We're going to have loads of little bits of Bondi web all over the floor. So the green bundle is now sold out. But you can buy the instructions on their own and use your own fabric, and we will show you in a minute which the fabrics that Delphine has used, and then you can buy those by the half metre.
Okay. There we are.
But if you do want the instructions, there are more people who've got them in baskets than we have available, so please do check out if you want them to avoid later disappointment.
There we go. This fits. Just pull that off. And this one just sits slightly behind one of the curves. Let me just. There we go. Goes round like that. Let me just check my original drawing. I think it goes that way. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. There we are.
It would look amazing if you did like it in purple as well. Imagine like purple trees. It would look, you know, the moonlight.
Yeah.
It does make things go really funny colours, doesn't it, as well?
That's why I've added in different. We go to the next stage, but I do handled some embroidery as well. So you know, mixing up the. So say if I've got a green moon, obviously I've done this, but in a cream or a white. But you could do that in a green. So then it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
the light reflecting off the moon.
Because things do go really weird colours in the moonlight.
They
don't
do.
It's a bit fantasy as well, isn't it?
Somebody said this reminds me of Watership Down.
It does.
Isn't it? Oh, I'm not happy with the
I
top
think
of
they're
that
all
mushroom.
rabbits though. It's really sad Watership.
It
Down,
is
though.
really sad. I remember watching it when I was little.
Awful.
I did cry.
They should redo it with a happy ending.
Wouldn't quite be the same then, though, would
No,
it?
I think there's lots of films like that they should remake with happy endings. I remember when I was in school and we used to sing Puff the Magic Dragon. You know the song?
Yeah.
And it's really sad because the dragon disappears and the little boy can't see him anymore. Now, my teacher, he was a music teacher, and he rewrote the last verse so that Puff returned. Because it was so sad that he disappeared into his cave and never came back again.
Oh, has that stayed with you?
Stayed with me forever. And then he
Aw.
rewrote the last verse. So I think they should rewrite lots of ends of things so they're not so sad.
Yeah, it's like that film we watched, the boy with the boys at the weekend. Not like the weekend, just gone. Made them watch Marley and Me.
I won't watch that because I haven't. I just
It
can't
is-
because
I
I
was
know
in
what
bits.
happens,
I
and
was
I
in
have a
bits.
dog, and there is no way I'm ever watching that film.
A little tip when you're doing the mushrooms, it is on the mushrooms, toadstools, whatever you want them to be. When you put the whatever this is, what is it called? Stalk, stem, I don't-
Stalk.
Yeah.
I think.
If you put them like that, then you won't get the detail underneath here. So you can choose which way you want to put them. I've done it so they lay on top, so then I can add some little details to make them look more 3D.
Yeah, but then that's how it is, isn't it? Because you're kind of looking up inside the mushroom.
So I'm fairly happy with the placement of everything.
You've done that very quickly. Have you done that before?
Oh, you know.
I know, but still, to have got that all correct.
And then...
So when you do the placement, do you just use this sort of as a guide?
I just use it as a guide, and you know I always say in the instructions, if you want to add a bit more, then add a bit more. You can, it's just a guide.
So you don't have to sort of trace it onto the fabric to get it in the. It's just
no. It's and like I said, the placement guide's pretty. Although it's not to scale, it's pretty much accurate,
right.
Because like I said, Nick does it off my drawings, so.
But I guess because you've placed down everything at the beginning, then you know it all fits.
Yes, that's it.
Don't press it on until you've put everything down.
And also, don't press it until you're 100% happy, because if you're trying to peel them off, it's a nightmare. But also, things can move around when you're pressing it. So I do tend to, especially on bigger projects, you know, and I've done like the Tree of Life, things like that, I tend to take a photograph of it. Once I'll lay it all out like this, then I'll take a photograph of my final placement pieces. Then I'll take it all off and I'll do it bit by bit.
Oh, your eyes move now. Oh, just to keep it all in the right place.
Yeah. So, but this isn't so bad. This isn't a huge project. You know, it's perfectly manageable. And as you can see as well, with the iron, try not to, you know, go all over it.
Press
like that.
rather than iron.
Yeah.
Right, so the instructions for this one, Moonlight Hare, is now sold out. Shall we just go home, Delphine?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Might as well. There we go. So I'm fairly happy that all of that's down now.
That looks lovely.
It's a lovely colourway, isn't it?
It's really nice.
Right.
I like the green moon. Actually, do you know what? It makes it look like a planet, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Although you can see when you, in some, depends on whether it's a full moon or whatever, you can see bits on the moon, can't you?
You can do,
It does have, it's not just a solid colour.
No,
it does have
it has that
whatever they
shading in
are.
it.
Seas? Does the moon have a sea? They have things, don't they?
I'm just going to move all that there for Elliot later.
Yeah, just sort of put, if you could just push it on the floor.
Oh no, if he stood there, he'd be giving me a look.
I think he's got a hoover.
I know, it's always my applique stuff that's always filling it. All right, so there we go. Should we do a bit of sewing now then?
Yes.
So what I would do, I'm quite happy that this is going to pretty much stay in place for the rest of the time that I'm doing the demo. So what you do now is sew around each individual piece. Use a blanket stitch is my favourite, or a zigzag stitch or a satin stitch. Just going around each piece. You can use a matching thread, you can use a contrasting thread, but if you're going around with a zigzag stitch or blanket, make sure you shorten the stitch length and just take your time as close as you can to the edges. And then I'd also do like a little black outline here. In fact, let me just show you in fact I'll do that. Of just how to get it with the mushrooms. I don't know if this is going to work, because I just took it out of the box.
What, the thread will work?
I've used this black one. I was eyeing it up in the green room out of the thread box, and I thought,
I love that.
I'll have that. I'll take that on with me. So you just, there we go. Pull that through. Right. So, well, I'm going to keep it with a straight stitch. All I'm going to do is show you a very, it's so easy, of just getting, you'll just go around the leg, because obviously I've done the leg in the same colour as the actual hair of the
is
body.
that to make it stand out then?
So it's just to make it stand out. So I'll just quickly do that to show you. And the best thing about applique is that it doesn't matter if you go a bit wobbly. If anything, I think it adds to the look of it.
So you're not free machining there, you're
No,
fixed.
I mean, I am a huge fan of free motion quilting, as you know. But
Free machine, yeah.
but again, this is a really good beginner's project. So I have given you options for free motion.
Oh, you have said free motion.
Look at all this mess. I'll help you clear it up, I promise.
Elliot, could you bring the Hoover in? Delphine's making a mess.
So that's just to show you the definition of the leg here. But obviously I've also got the little line here for the front of it, for the front legs.
Oh, okay.
You can hand stitch that, or you can just do it on the machine. It all depends on what kind of look you want to go for with the finished look. About halfway up. There you go. You can give it a little nose or something as well. There we go. So that's just given just a bit more stability so I can just do a bit more sewing. So I've just given the front leg there and just defined the back leg. Now for the mushrooms, you're just going to sew, use my biro, I know it's not a marker, but you'll just draw.
So you could use like a friction pen for
Yeah,
that.
which I always use. Oh, there's a big tub of them behind me, look.
I can never find them. Or the tape measures.
So you just draw a little circle, like a half moon shape. You can just about see it there. I've done it quite bright. So you just sew with a short stitch length in the black, just on little curves like that. And then it's going to start giving it that more 3D effect. So I'm just going to quickly go and do those. You can chain stitch these as well. And then you just trim them off in between. So if you also, one thing I did use a lot doing this project with some applique scissors, because you'll find that the fabrics will fray slightly, which I quite like.
Yes.
But at the end, you want to get close up and go around the edge of it.
Have we got any applique scissors on the... We have got those on the website, so actually we're just going to put those on the order. So if you want... I love them. They're duck-billed applique scissors. And they're just really clever because they cut really close. They're really good for snipping very close to threads, but they're also really good for grading seams, I discovered. Because you can get really, really close to the stitches because of the special blade on them. I don't think we've got any. But we have got a picture. There we go. Applique scissors. So you can see that you've got one blade is very flat, so that lays flat on the surface, which means that you can use the cutting edge to get really close without cutting the fabric. So if you haven't got any of those and you do applique or dressmaking, because they're really good for grading seams, they are kind of an essential tool, bit of your tool set.
Right.
Yeah, lots of textile art, all that sort of thing. But I use them for grading seams.
They're good for when I've done the confetti quilting as well. So if some confetti quilting where you take the mesh off,
Okay.
they're good to getting close up without taking, cutting into your artwork. So to do these little swirls, I've done them by hand.
Oh, okay.
Only because I think it adds that it's just nice having a bit more texture.
Well, it's chunkier, isn't it?
Yeah. So I've given you diagrams on the placement guide for where you want to put them. But again, if you've got a friction pen or a marker, you could just draw on a few where you think they look nice. And then...
Yeah, so I suppose that's quite good, isn't it? Because at least you've got the picture in front of you, so you can just draw exactly where you've put all the detail.
So, and then all I'm going to do then, let's have one at the end.
Is the moon, is all the embroidery done by hand?
Yeah, you can
Okay.
do it by machine. But I thought for this project, it's just nice to just have something that you can just take your time and... because I've also embellished a couple with some beads and some sequins, I think it just gives it that 3D effect, just a bit softer.
So we do have an embroidery skein bundle. So if you've bought this or you want to do some embroidery, we've put together a special bundle of all the threads that you will need. Oh, and this one's got beads on as well.
I found them in the bottom
Sequins.
of my... I think I had some beads left over from last year when I did the stag's
Okay.
head quilt. And they were in a little pot and they all exploded into the bottom of my, where all my threads are. So there are a bit of a mismatch of...
And, right, so in the embroidery skein bundle, there are metallic threads and stranded cotton as well. So you can create the the swirls using the stranded cotton, but then all the extra little silvery bits, particularly around the edge of the moon, you can use the metallic thread.
Yeah, I think I'll do the moon as well in a minute and do that.
So we've got a message from Claudia. Morning to you all. Is it possible to let us know which colours from earlier to replace the solid out version, please? The sold out version, please. Thank you. We will do it near the end of the show because I've got them all on my desk now ready. But we're just going to, Delphine's going to finish off. She's only got 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
5 minutes.
So as you can see.
And then we will go through all of those colours so you know which ones to buy.
So I'm just doing a little simple backstitch for these.
Susan
fancy.
says, don't go home, ladies. Loving the demo, Delphine, so talented.
Oh,
love the
thank
banter
you.
too, well done both. No, we won't go home, honestly. We'd get in trouble if we went home. But anyway, we've got Yarn Lane at 12. Hey, do you want to stay for Yarn Lane?
What are you doing to Yarn Lane today?
Oh, we're just doing, we're not doing needle photos. We're doing my favourites. It's a bit of a self-indulgent show, to be fair. I just chose all my favourite things. Like Swifts and ball winders. Not favourite, not some kits, but you know, like you have, if I said to you, right, what's your favourites? If you had a show and you could choose all your favourite tools, what would you have?
Bondaweb.
Bondaweb. Bondaweb and applique scissors. Oh, well, that's good.
Bondaweb, applique scissors. Yeah, and I like my threads. So
Threads.
you know when you do the like the big multi-packs of like the Gutermann or the Tula Pink.
Yes, love them.
So I see them as like paint palettes, you know. So when you get them all in the boxes.
Yeah, when you get the big multi-pack. We do a Metla thread
And
that's
the
got like
Metla one.
150 threads in it.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, I need to treat myself to that.
Well, I think also there are, I mean, like with Yarn Lane as well, there's lots of tools that you don't always know about, and it's not until someone says and you think, oh, that's amazing, I didn't realise that it did that. And some of them aren't even expensive things.
Some of the things I've never used before that that I use so much now because of this show. You know, and it's made my life so much easier. It's just, I mean, the friction. I used to have like a marker.
Yeah, friction. Love friction pens.
So yeah, I'll put that in my favourites.
Yeah,
as
okay,
well.
your favourite. Maybe we should do Desert Island Sewing Street. You can take 8 tools on the desert island with you.
Which ones would they be?
I would have a bias binding maker.
Do you? I really enjoy making my own.
Yeah, but no,
Bias
but the tool.
The tool, yeah.
Because like it's like £2. And I've never used one before because I thought, well, they must be rubbish because they're so cheap, but they're just fantastic.
You can get with loads of different sizes as well, can't you? But
And then so you can make all your own. And I used to religiously fold the edges over. Love them.
That's what I do. But no, that's one of my favourite things to do actually is making binding. It's
with a bias binding maker. Love them. I'm sure. I hope do we have those on the website? Should ask everyone what's your desert island tools. But you can take with you, a bit like, you know, you have the complete works of Shakespeare, the Bible, you can take with you a sewing machine.
Yeah, I was going to say, because that's obviously going to be everybody's, isn't it? And an iron.
And an iron. But other than that, what are your 8 favourite things? I'd go for a very large quilt kit, because that'd keep me going for some time.
Yeah, so, like the William Morris one.
Yeah, no, I'd need to be more complicated than that, because it needs to keep me going for a bit longer.
The whole thing, FPP.
Yeah, the whole thing, yeah.
That'll keep you going for a while, won't it?
Right, yes, so we got to stop chatting because
Okay.
you've only got 5 minutes left.
So I've
2 minutes left.
So you'll do a few of your swirls, add as many or as few as you like.
Okay, so you trace them on and then just stitch over them.
Yeah, or just if you're confident stitching, just stitch them. And then round the bottom, as you can see, I'll just show you very quickly. Let me just get a bit of black thread. So for the eyes, really important actually, that makes a difference to the finish. And so I've just got a little bit of black, just normal black cotton.
And where's that for?
Is eyelashes.
Oh, it's eyelashes.
Yeah.
Surely, because hair's probably, well, they must have eyelashes.
So
Why wouldn't they?
Just a few stitches.
Oh, lovely.
And there's some French knots and things around the bottom as well. I have included a guide, a step-by-step guide of how to do French knots. But again, if you don't,
Oh,
if
yeah.
you're not a fan of them, just don't do them. You can
Just don't do them.
just do stick a button on it if you want.
We've
you
got
know.
a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
Joyce said, what sort of pen do you use to draw on your bonder web?
I'm probably really naughty. I just use a biro.
Just a biro.
But then be careful with what type of pen you use because you can get it all over your hands.
I guess you could use a friction pen, couldn't you? Or
Well,
pencil.
a friction pen, well, you'd
I know, because it come off when you iron it on.
Because I did that once.
Silly
I've
idea.
done that on the
Silly
show.
idea. Pencil. Or,
Pencil, make sure it's a soft pencil, so anything above a B
right.
or 2B,
just a
3B,
pen.
because otherwise it will scratch and you could tear it off.
Okay.
So I've just...
Question number 2. Brenda says, loves your nail varnish.
Oh, thank you.
What make and colour is it, Delphine?
I have no idea because I got it from the chemist in my village and it was in like a box of how much, I think it was about 50p. So it was from my local chemist.
Oh, right. Well, if you send in your address, Brenda, Delphine will send you the...
But I think I've got it in my handbag, but no idea what it is. There we go. So I've done the eyelashes and one quick last thing. Have I got any white? Yeah.
So we have got instructions available for the fighting hair. And we'll do that in a minute. So if you've bought, what's your last thing?
To show you?
Yes.
Just show you the eye. One
Right,
last
just
bit.
going to show us the eye.
So
Sorry, Hannah.
to finish it off, the eye, just to
Set me
make
up to
sure they
finish.
sparkle.
Sorry.
And
that's the highlight on
then
the eye.
that's just the highlight. Very important, because otherwise it just looks a bit mean otherwise.
Oh, does it?
And it just gives it that little sparkle in the eye. So
Oh.
always add a little bit, or if you've got some metallic thread.
No,
add a
that
bit of
actually
that.
makes quite a difference, doesn't
It does, makes a big difference, yeah.
Gorgeous.
There you go.
Gorgeous. Thank you, Delphine. That's
No
lovely. Could you
problem.
please bring more next time?
Yes,
please?
of course, yes.
When are you next in, do you know?
Not till the 26th, I don't think.
Ages.
Not for ages.
What are you going to do with yourself?
I don't know. I'll have to do some housework.
No, Guy, you can't do that. You better say the weather gets better.
Oh, well,
You can
that would
sunbathe
be
instead.
nice. That would be nice, yeah. I hope so. Oh, crikey.
Well, thank you very much. It's
Thank you
been
very much.
lovely, lovely. I'm going to go through these fabrics so the people who've bought the instructions can buy the fabrics. So the only instructions we have available are the fighting hairs. This is, your version will be super glossy like this version. This is just a photo. Oh, God, I thought that was a glass of water then in the corner of my eye. The fighting hairs instruction, £9.99. That's the code that's on screen at the moment. Now, a lot of you have asked, we're going to tell you what colours. So, should we start with Hare Green? Because that's next to me. So, in Hare Green, we've got a solid colour that is KQLJ13. You need half a metre. You need half a metre of all of these. That's teal. That's plain teal. Okay. You then need half a metre of, because the sticker is IAUQ34. That's from the new Dan Morris range. You will have some left over because this is available by the half metre, and obviously I think the kit's had a fat quarter in. The next one is AQUQ91. Seafoam. This is all for Hare the Hare in green. The next one is SJUQ82. You'll be able to make 2 using this bundle if you buy these. SJUQ82, Sage, and finally you will need KXUQ30. Midnight. So that's Hare the Hare in green. If you want to make that one, if you want to buy the fabrics by the half metre. Which one shall I do? Hare the Hare in blue. Which one is Hare the Hare? That's this one. Right. So for Hare the Hare in blue, the solid colour is AYLJ82. That's navy. You need half a metre of that. Then ZIUQ27. You need half a metre of that. That's just the blue. And you will have some left over, obviously. This one is called grey. I remember that because it should have been called silver. YFUQ82, that's grey. And the photos are updated on these now, so they don't look strange anymore. Out of focus is what they looked like last time. YJUQ65. Yes. VJUQ65. Always fun. Read out the wrong codes to Hannah just to confuse her. That's light blue. She's like, do you think the Y might be a V? Yes. VLUQ03. So this is the fabrics for the blue moonlight hair if you've already bought the instructions and you want those. But you will have extra, you'll have enough to make 2. If you want to make the purple fighting hares, you will need black, FWLJ49, so you'll need half a metre of that. Then of these beautiful Dan Morris fabrics, you will need half a metre of XSUQ17, that's plum. I remember some of the names, not all of them, just some of them. Don't remember that beige one, I don't know what that one was called. Can't remember. YHUQ20. And remember, if you can't remember these, all of this will be on YouTube, so you'll be able to read through them if you want to remember what they were. That was purple. SLUK76. This one is brown. No, that's charcoal. This one's charcoal. That's the one that looks like 80% chocolate, cocoa chocolate, but it's actually called charcoal. 80UQ49. And this one is called putty. There you go. So those are the fabrics you need if you want to make the fighting hares and you've only got the instructions. But we still do have some instructions for the fighting hares. So if you have a look, you can buy them separately because we haven't got the kit anymore. But if you want just the instructions, there they are, £9.99. Everything you need to know, all the walkthrough photos, all the placement diagrams, all the templates, everything to make the fighting hares cushion. But you don't have to use these colours. You can just buy the instructions and use your own colours. But if you want to copy the ones that Delphine's done, or if you've bought some of the fabric or you've seen this, because all of this fabric is still on the website, if you want to do it in different colours, because they're all the same they're all the same pattern, it's just the colour ideas are different, then you could create your own design. So that's it for Sewing Street today, but tomorrow is another day and just as exciting. At 8 o'clock, we've got Jason Yenter fabric. Love Jason Yenter, gorgeous fabrics. At 9 o'clock, more fab fabrics. 10 o'clock, measure twice, cut once. Brand new pressing tools. Ooh. I like a pressing tool. 11 o'clock, we've got 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock, we've got a 2-hour special with Gary from Dukey. So if you're thinking about a new sewing machine, or you're tempted, or you want to, or you want to learn how to do it, or you need some ideas, he's brilliant. He knows everything about sewing machines. Do message him with any questions or advice you need, and he'll be able to guide you. But next, don't go anywhere, because we have got Yarn Lane coming, and it is my favourite tools, some of the kits that we've done before, new things you might not have seen, but it's a lovely hour. Please message in with your questions if you've got anything you want to know about the different things we do, what the tools do. I've got some lovely kits to show you. So I will be back with you in just a few minutes' time. And thank you for joining us on Sewing Street today, and I will see you in just a moment on Yarn Lane.